can get me feeling lonely. Hey. And hearing music that can make me smile. But the way I feel with her cannot be explained. But one thing still remains on my mind. I know that you'd be bad from the minute I saw you. But somehow I keep running back to you. Back to you.
Strangers stand lost in time with one another.
solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start it.
Maybe feelings change, I could be never. All the reasons why we've been separate ways. Feeling all alone in your company. Keeping you captive with deadly chains.
We're night and day, solar eclipses. Too afraid to look, too scared to miss it. We're night and day, solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start again. Tomorrow we build, depends on the future we want, we can make it as real. Maybe we will though, give up the ego. Making it feel good. Too scared to just let it go. Too scared to just let it go. Tomorrow we build. Depends on the future we want, we can make it as real. Maybe we will though. Give up the ego. Making it feel good. Too scared to just let it go. Too scared to just let it go. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we can start again. We can start again. We can start it.
Got wandering eyes that I seem to follow. Can only stay still for some time. I've never aligned with the city's pulse, so that makes it easier to leave behind. I just wanna get to know brighter lights in Tokyo. Somehow hear it whispering that could be the one you're missing. I just wanna get to know brighter lights in Tokyo. Somehow hear it whispering. I could be the one you're missing. Wondering why I don't know the feeling of walking through these streets like they're mine. Trying to find a way to new beginnings somewhere in a different life. I just wanna get to know brighter lights in Tokyo. Somehow hear it whispering that could be the one you're missing. I just wanna get to know brighter lights in Tokyo. Somehow hear it whispering. I could be the one you're missing.
Last week of Rival Series taught us that every team that we saw is making the argument for one of those top two spots. Also that every game counts. In some instances, double, triple headers could very well define your season. We'll see that again here this week at Rival Series. My name is Albert Halloran Haley III. I'm proud to be your host along with the king of content himself, Corelli and Squid. Gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready for week 2. We get to see some new faces, some faces that we saw last week, and it's going to be exciting here in Europe.
Yeah, lots of spicy matches this week on both ends of the continents as well, because, oh my goodness, week 2 is going to be ridiculous. We mentioned we got a lot of great action, and of course, it's always nice to be beside His Majesty, the king of content.
This week has no small measure of twists and turns. Let's take a look at the standings because there is a lot on the line here. Complexity Gaming, they came out of the gate swinging, setting the tone for the returning RLCS teams with a 2-0 start. Veloce, though, they also did very well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise to see Complexity and Veloce at the top. We haven't really seen Vikings. That's another team coming down from the RLCS. ARG and Xenomoon, two teams that have struggled in their first showing so far. And then a Baguette Squad, they had to play 3 games last week, and they come out 1-2. It could be a lot worse for them.
Yeah, and they actually looked pretty solid as well. So, I mean, coming out of that play, and some people may not have expected such a strong performance, but I think we saw lots of good stuff out of them. So,
My eyes in particular are on Method because they are a team that I think that had a lot of expectations for themselves, and I don't know if they exactly measured up to that. 1-1 is not the start that they had looked to have, and it definitely seemed like they could pull off the 2-0, so I'm hoping we see a stronger performance out of them this week. But these teams are playing for a lot more than just competition. There's a ton on the line here. 2 spots for the RLCS, definitely going to be a topic of conversation. The top 4 teams also will be returning to the next season of Rival Series, and no team wants to go down to that bottom 4 because then they would have to go through the play-ins again.
Yeah, bottom 4 don't come back next season. Top 4 keeps you in the Rival Series, but top 2 is really what everyone's shooting for, trying to get into that promotion tournament. You can see on your screen the prize pool. First place walking away with 13 grand all the way down to 8th place with 2,000.
yeah, and obviously you mentioned those bottom 4. Of course, we got a lot of teams here, and I really don't feel like any of them deserve that. Of course, it's still a little bit early on, so the story is still kind of developing in that department, but I really feel like we're going to see a more competitive season than we've ever seen before, especially when you consider the Week 1 standings.
The story is developing here this season of Rival Series. Let's take a look at the schedule because we will be starting off with an absolute definition of the entire series, or season in my opinion. Veloce eSports will be taking on the returning team, the Vikings, formerly Fnatic. That is going to be a match in particular that I'm looking forward to. Method ARG will then be squaring off afterwards. ARG wants to get a solid start going into this week. Complexity Gaming, Veloce eSports, they don't have it easy today. They have another match off stream as well, and then we'll round things out with the Rightovers taking on the Vikings.
Right. Veloce's season is kind of defined this week. Obviously, 2 games on stream here against the Vikings and Complexity. That's 2 teams that we expect to do very well in the European Rival Series. So for Veloce, this is a huge week for them.
Yeah, matches to watch, honestly, all of them. I mean, I can't really think of a single match you don't want to see. Method and ARG probably is going to be the most, technically one-sided match, but even then, there's going to be a lot of competition.
Matches to watch. Yes. Let's go into the first one, though. Veloce eSports taking on the Vikings. Both of these teams have so much to play for this week. Veloce, triple header. Vikings didn't play at all last week. They definitely want to get off on the right foot going into week number 2. Veloce eSports, I think they played a lot better than people were expecting, so the Vikings have a tall order ahead of them.
And, of course, Veloce is the team that we saw last season from Team Secret, now picking up Niels Cook. And they took down Baguette Squad 3-1, and they 3-0'd Xenomoon last week. So this is a team about missed opportunity from last Rival Series. They go 5-2. It's not a bad season, but it wasn't good enough to make it to the RLCS. So for Veloce, they have a roster mix-up, and they're here back again to prove themselves once more.
Yeah, honestly, Niels Cook coming onto the roster is a strong point for me, but with the Vikings coming in off of no games played yet, this is really going to be a story definer for me personally, because the Vikings obviously want to start out strong with their season, but if Veloce take the win, then they're going to be a very strong contender for the top 2 spot if they weren't already, and not to mention beating out the Vikings again, which is always great. They did it once at the DreamHack Leipzig qualifiers 3-1 with the same rosters, and my question is, was Pondex just new blood, or, what's the deal?
Vikings, to me, are one of the most interesting teams to watch this week, in particular because of how well Complexity Gaming played last week. Flakes joins that roster. They're one of the returning teams for RLCS. They have an incredible performance. Vikings look over that and are like, okay, well, that bar is set in terms of returning teams. We need to either match or exceed that. So having that new player, will they be able to match that dynamic? Do you think these guys, they will be able to match that up?
Absolutely, and I think for Vikings, too, when you go 2-5 in the RLCS and you go back down into the Rival Series, I think there's kind of that motivation to come in and say, we want to prove ourselves back into the RLCS. And I talked about missed opportunity for Veloce. It's about lost opportunity for Vikings, how they fell out of the RLCS and they weren't good enough to be in there. So for them to come into the Rival Series, they want to make it back. Top 2 or bust for this team. Really, any team that gets relegated feels like top 2 or bust, and Vikings definitely in that boat.
Yeah, they got a strong roster. As I mentioned, when they were playing DreamHack Leipzig, they did have Pondex as that new man. And of course, we know he can be a little bit on and off. So if that was just an off day, then Pondex is going to come out today and he's going to say, okay, time to really set you guys straight. This is happening, and this is happening for real. We're gunning for that top 2.
This is an outright clash of wills right now. In terms of predictions, Corelli, who do you think is going to take this best of 5?
So I'm going to pick Veloce here just because they're 2 seasons into their 2 series into their season so far, and they do have the history of taking down Vikings earlier on. I think Veloce is a strong contender for top 2 here in the European Rival Series. They just missed it last season, as we've already mentioned. So for Veloce, I think it's this season they're going to do it.
I'm honestly going to have to disagree with that opinion. I think you make some very valid points, but I feel like the Vikings have a strong roster, and I think they're going to pull this one out. Pondex is the player to watch for me, but I feel like they're going to be able to take this one home.
I was so torn about what team I thought would take this. I think it's very evenly matched, especially how well Veloce did last week. I do think, though, that the Vikings have what it takes to take this series, because if anything, they need to. I feel like they need to do this more, not having played last week. We saw a strong performance out of Veloce. They need to show that they can potentially make it back into the RLCS, but let's find out. It's going to be Veloce eSports taking on the Vikings. With no further ado, take it away.
Thank you very much, Haloran. And of course, for this team in Veloce, Freaky really showed himself last season. He was the leading goal scorer, or goal percentage participation, and save participation, a stat that was kind of interesting for a lot of these players because he was getting it done on both sides of the field.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can really tell he's got that little bit of RLCS experience from when Team Secret was, of course, in the RLCS. And it shows. When they played their matches before, you could really tell that they were coming out to play. They were annihilating, really. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but the scoreline shows that they were really on top basically at all times.
And I'm interested to see how Pondex really fits into this roster. He was a player that came from Excel last season, and it was a rough go for Excel in the Rival Series. So for him to come into the Vikings and see how they do here in the European Rival Series, well, we're about to find out. It's Veloce and the Vikings facing off here in our first match of the European Rival Series. Kickoff immediately in favor of the Vikings. Pondex doesn't get the touch. Here's Flame now to the midfield. He's got Freaky. Lots of space and a shot on target. Maestro able to turn that one away and immediately put downfield. The Vikings trying to find some sort of pressure. A lot of space in the midfield. Here's one going off the back wall. Uncontested. Flame a little bit late to that one. Maestro lets that one to his own corner and cleared back for the Vikings.
And we've actually seen a couple of those situations already, actually in both teams' favor. We saw Veloce with an early shot on, and it was just a pass, nice pass in the midfield. Lots of respect on both sides of the ball so far, and can you blame them?
Mummy Snow, a big miss, and this one's going to roll into the back of the net, goes in for Freaky, and Veloce's on the board first.
And I mean, that's really the story of the entire play. Mummy Snow has to make this touch right here. Just a huge misplay altogether, and Freaky obviously going to take advantage of that one. So honestly, I mean, that's just...
It's a big miss. It's just a big miss. You cannot afford those mistakes here in the Rival Series. And a player like Freaky, we had mentioned it, leading goal participation here for Veloce last season. He comes through and strikes immediately on stream, and maybe another chance as that one goes high. Freaky still trying to keep this one alive. The Vikings not able to find it out of their own end yet, but here's Flame to the mid. Meals Cooks there, met by a Vikings defender, and Flame just pushing this one by. And so for Vikings now, how do you respond back? You give up an early goal off of a bad mistake, and they're feeling a lot of pressure so far from Veloce. How do you get control of this game? So far, complete control from Veloce.
We've seen a lot of just booming clears, honestly, from the Vikings so far, and I really don't feel like that's the key. Just trying to find a foothold at the moment, and I mean, you can tell. You're talking about the Veloce pressure, and they really do seem comfortable on the orange half of the field. So my key for them is just get out on the offense. Show us what you can do.
Well, here's Mummy Snow trying to show us what he can do, and he's done this so much on stream, just finding open shots and taking advantage of the space he's given. That's a free goal for Mummy Snow.
Yeah, nobody back here for Veloce, and of course he's going to take advantage of that one, obviously. You know, making up for his little whiff he had earlier on, so nothing doing there. But again, Veloce, you know, kind of playing a little bit far up on the midfield line there. Gave him that opportunity in the first place, and I appreciate they're trying to get the passes set up, but you got to be careful.
So the Vikings respond just a minute, or just under a minute after giving up their first goal. Here's Maestro giving that ball away, but Mummy Snow makes up for it on the back wall. Down to Pondex. Freaky trying to gain control here for Veloce. That's a shot on target, but easily saved away there by Maestro. Veloce still pushing on a lot of pressure here onto the Vikings half. Now Niels Cook turned away by Mummy. So this one's going off the back wall. It's a clear to the corner here. And again, Freaky and Veloce putting on the pressure. A lot of poor clears coming out from the Vikings that are going straight to Veloce players. They're even clearing it backwards. Mummy Snow able to get out.
Yeah, but one of the key things you have to realize is even though they're not making the best clears, at least they're getting a hand on the ball, which was restricting Veloce.
Oh.
That one off the crossbar and away, seemingly out of nowhere. And I guess a quality offense for the Vikings. They're going to back off rather quickly on that one, though. And I will say, defensive-minded game, not necessarily bad news, but you got to be careful. There's Niels Cook just barely kept away.
Yeah, it feels like Veloce just knocking on the door here at this point. That's a big and welcome clear for the Vikings, trying to get some sort of breathing room, but immediately turned back downfield. Great touch from Flame to push that one on. And Veloce feel like a matter of time before they find the back of the net once more. Niels Cook now not able to put that one towards the mid. Another missed touch comes out from the Vikings, made up for by Maestro into the midfield, and Freaky and Flame able to push this one out. A shot just high as the Vikings finally find some sort of offense. But the midfield's given up once more. It's Pondex. Not the best touch and no one there to meet it. Actually dunked away by Maestro, so in the end it works out for them as Vikings are slowly starting to put on the pressure here and getting a little bit more control than we've seen, as Veloce has just had a vice grip on the offensive third.
Yeah, this offense definitely feels very vital for the Vikings. In terms of shots, they're actually outmatching their opponents, but you can just tell the ball has spent so much time on the orange half of the field that Veloce have been able to do whatever they really want in the midfield. This is the first time they're really thinking to themselves, we got to play some significant defense.
While a lot of pressure has come out from Veloce, it seems like Vikings have slowly started to adapt to their opponents, getting a lot more control. And here's Pondex, turned away by Niels Cook, but Vikings a lot more space. You can see free clears coming out from Maestro. That's a nice one to the back wall. Freaky forced to go up for it. A pass comes down, nobody there from the Vikings, and here comes Veloce back the other way. Mummy Snow's forced to go up. A follow-up there from Freaky and Flame now. Maybe a second touch, just miss as Niels Cook comes through and dunked away by Maestro. So 30 seconds remaining and a tie game here between these two teams, and really we feel like we wouldn't have it any other way. A shot comes out from Niels Cook and a little bit of an unsafe clear comes out from Vikings in the end, able to transition onto offense.
And it does feel like Veloce, you know, they're having a lot of pressure in the offensive end. They're having a good midfield presence. They're making passing plays, but they don't just want to make that final commit. And they're giving that respect to Vikings that they really deserve after taking that one goal against. So a good adaptation in the first game. Are we going to see an end of regulation here?
Well, they're going to keep it up. Freaky says go. Down the field into the corner. He actually had an opportunity to make something dangerous, but thought the last defender wasn't going to miss his touch. Into overtime for game number one between Veloce and Vikings. We've got many more games to come between these two, and it seems to be after the initial attacks from Veloce, Vikings have really started to find their footing. Here's one across the net. Maestro not able to find a teammate. His Mummy Snow went in for the bump. And here comes Freaky, a player to watch for Veloce as Maestro breaks that one up. He's got Mummy Snow in the midfield. Tries to drop this one down for a teammate, but can't get a hold of it. Had low boost as well. And Veloce throwing the ball down the field, and a lot more space now for Vikings to work with. Maestro trying to get a touch on that one. Back to the Vikings corner.
It really does feel like Veloce are starting to, you know, it seems like a bit of a role reversal where Veloce are desperately trying to get into the offensive end now. It's been a slow burn for the Vikings, but you can definitely tell it's paying dividends. A nice opportunity there from Flame, but couldn't make anything with it.
And Veloce are finding players downfield. You can see Niels Cook here looking for the pass, trying to play that one off the ceiling, but the Vikings have just been throwing the ball down the field and hoping it sticks. Here's another one from Mummy Snow that's turned away by Freaky, and maybe an opportunity as he does get a touch. Niels Cook forced to go up. It's the last defender for Veloce. The shot comes down from Pondex, and Freaky able to save that one away. So a little bit scary there for Veloce, but still able to get out. Here's Pondex once more. The shot on target, it goes in, and Vikings take game number one.
And finally, with this continued offensive pressure, they're able to just blast it downfield as many times as they need. They felt so comfortable during this game, and they finally find that little gap that they need. Veloce, of course, that first goal against was a little bit of an open net. That second goal against, it wasn't quite as open. You could see Niels trying to make a challenge there, but just wasn't in time.
And you said it was kind of a slow burn for the Vikings. It was a slow start, definitely coming out. Veloce were all over them. But halfway through this game, you could see space started to open up. They had a lot more time to work with. They got control of their boosts in their backfield, especially on defense for so long. They got control of their back boosts and were able to push down the field. And I mentioned that it felt like they were kind of throwing the ball down the field. But in the end, if Veloce can't deal with it, it works.
Yeah, I mean, you know, lots of people say, like, oh, you can't just throw the ball downfield. You got to find teammates. Well, not if you can get goals on the transition, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. But, I mean, that's really the story for the Vikings. When we first started this game, we had Veloce and the Vikings both kind of, like, alternating between who had midfield presence. And then, you know, in the end, it just went the Vikings' way. They started to take more control of the situation. And I did notice, in the first half, Veloce, you know, they started moving out on the offense a little bit more. But the Vikings were ready. They dealt with it rather handily, and there were a couple of odd spots here and there, but they managed to pull it out in the end.
Right, and quality clears come out for Vikings as well, and that's really what led to a lot more pressure coming out for them in ball control in the final third. And for Veloce, I think it's just missed chances. They had a lot of chances in the beginning of the game that they couldn't convert. They could only put one away, and it was a freaky unassisted goal in the first 45 seconds. So for Veloce, with all that pressure, with all that time in the final third, you've got to find the back of the net more than once here as we get into game number 2. Vikings up 1-0 in the series, and so far, at least in that second half of the game, Vikings have looked much better. Find out if they can carry that into game number 2. As immediately Veloce get control of the kickoff here. Niels Cook goes up to challenge. Trying to keep Vikings immediately locked into their own half. Riki, not the best touch down to his teammates. And here's Maestro forcing the 50-50 at midfield. The Vikings finally break out. So in the first 20 seconds, Vikings getting some sort of control here. Mummy Snow not able to follow that one up. Here's Pondex now. Just lobbing the ball away, not letting anything out from Veloce as they do break out here. Flame able to push it downfield. That's a shot from Niels Cook, but turned away by Maestro. Linking up now with Pondex. Actually opts to just go past him here. So for the Vikings, already finding themselves on the back foot. Some poor clears already have led to some pressure coming out from Veloce. Here's Freaky now. A couple stops come through for Mummy Snow, and Vikings slowly but surely fight out of their own end.
And it did feel like a little bit of a scramble there for a second, but they did manage it in the end. And I noticed from both teams so far, lots of respect in Veloce's case, playing a player defensively in the midfield. Great pump there, but the shot just off target. And Vikings, they're coming out strong, per usual. You mentioned it earlier.
So a missed opportunity there for Veloce. This one shot down, turned away by Niels Cook. That one was on target. Great save coming out from him, and Flame forced to clear this one backwards. Pondex opts to keep this one alive. Now Maestro's forced to go up. Vikings trying to put on the pressure here. This one's off the backboard. Mummy Snow, does he have to? He does, but it's not on target. And here comes Pondex. The Vikings threatening. A couple shots on target. Here's Mummy Snow not able to get the second touch. Force Freaky to go up. Here's Maestro now. Leaves way for Pondex off the back wall. Mummy Snow actually goes for that one. Not able to connect, and not the best touch from Maestro, but still able to deal with it nicely, but just put over Pondex's head. Mummy Snow keeping the Vikings alive. We're seeing a lot more pressure coming out from the Vikings now. A lot more control as well, and it feels like Veloce get one touch and it's straight back into a Vikings player's possession. This ball just bouncing in the midfield now. Vikings have really started to turn it on here. And while they haven't really translated into many shots, it's just the pressure and control that we're seeing.
Yeah, I'm noticing that the Vikings right now seem to be playing like a man-on style of play where they're kind of reacting to what their opponents are doing. They're just going to say, okay, you can get a hit on that one. Oh, what a great touch there. Maestro off the crossbar, though. And
Mummy Snow faking the touch coming down. He had the boost to do it, but lets it just drop, and that threw off the defense of Veloce here. Still tied up. There's only been 2 shots from the Vikings after their stay here in the final third. Still keeping it along here are the Vikings, and another chance for Mummy Snow. Here's Pondex now. The pressure just mounting, and it feels like the reverse story of last game where a lot of opportunity, a lot of control, but just not finishing. As another one's put to the Veloce corner. Really not that dangerous if you're on the Veloce side.
Yeah, I mean, you said this is kind of a copy of last game, save for a couple of bump attempts, but it still just feels like the Vikings have had so much more possession than Veloce ever did in game number 1. They're finally going to push out a little bit here, grab some boost, and reset. But for the Vikings, they've been doing such a good job of just letting Veloce try and move out of their own half and just keeping it straight in.
And Veloce just have not been able to get control in this game here. Freaky trying to make that change, as that's not a bad pass across. Here comes the drop down, not able to put it away. Maestro gets in front of that one. The long clear comes out. You got to link up here from Mummy Snow as immediately transition downfield. That's not a bad attempt there from Niels Cook as Flame pushes this one out towards the midfield. Freaky, can he drop it down? Maybe twice? No. Veloce, the best opportunity they've had all game, and they can't convert.
I like the idea, though. I mean, going for that aggressive play alone, we've seen Flame and Freaky do it so often. And Niels Cook, obviously, he's been able to do it as well. Now play up to the backboard. Again, shot from Freaky will be turned away.
So a close call again for the Vikings. And it feels like while they've had pressure, you give up a couple more of those opportunities, and Veloce will finally convert. But still a tie game after everything that we've said, Squid. It's still a tie game between these two teams, and it feels like now Veloce have at least had their opportunity to score. Maybe one more here as this one's turned away by Maestro as Niels Cook on the shot. Not perfectly placed. Another opportunity. Here's Freaky. Pondex gets in the way of that one. Maestro just trying to buy time for his teammates, but it's for nothing as Niels Cook might have the last say here. 10 seconds left on the clock. Freaky trying to score a last-second goal, and it's Maestro who pushes it down the field. So the Vikings might have the last say. Maestro's up off the backboard, and nobody's there from the Vikings. Another overtime.
And I'm liking what I saw from Veloce coming out in that last half. They played defense all game long, but you could tell when they had their turn to play offense, they were ready for it. They were on the ball every single time, pushing it towards the goal line. It looks like they might start out on offense again.
And Veloce, the shot goes halfway in the net. Maestro able to turn that one away. Vikings, scary opportunities coming from Veloce. Here's Maestro using all of his boost. Actually, 2 go now. This is dangerous for the Vikings as Veloce sees their time to strike. Not able to put it on target. A pass across to Niels Cook to the back of the net. Beautifully placed. Beautiful pass. And Veloce take game 2.
And as soon as I saw this pass going into the midfield, I knew that was it. Niels is obviously going to be waiting for that one. He's so good about being in position for that one. I mentioned Veloce, they were prepared to play on the attack when their opportunity finally came. And when it moved to overtime, they were just going to take that momentum and ride it straight through to the end. And ride it they did. Fantastic passing play in the midfield, making use of that space.
And I want to say that it feels like what we said last game, but now in for Vikings. They had a ton of opportunity, and they just couldn't convert, and Veloce started to knock on the door a little bit more in the end of Game 2, and all of a sudden, you let them have a couple more chances, and Veloce convert, and that's exactly what they did. And so for Vikings now, it's about all the opportunity that they had that they couldn't capitalize on is what really came back to hurt them in this game.
Yeah, and for Veloce, it felt like, okay, we've seen them playing a lot of defense in game number 1, and they were dealing with it rather well. So this game, we're just going to play a ton of defense and then surprise them with a blitzkrieg offense right at the end of regulation and then hammer them in overtime if it needs be, and they did that exactly as needed. So some good stuff overall, but as you mentioned, for the Vikings, it's all about that offensive strength. They were playing reactionary. They were letting the opponents hit the ball right to them and then just put it right back in the midfield, but never really amounted to anything.
Well, they were playing reactionary definitely in that last half of the game. I felt like in the first half, minus the kickoff, they were in full control and they had shot opportunities, and it was just the Veloce defense that were really starting to turn them away. And then finally the offense turned on for Veloce. So now here is the game breaker. Game number 3 between these two teams. What do we have in store? It's been 2 overtimes, 2 close games. And for Veloce, on the winning end of game number 2, a 1-1 series between these two teams. As we get into game number 3, the Vikings able to get control off the kickoff into the Veloce side. Here's Niels Cook. Freaky on his own end. It's straight out off the backboard. Flames got to get up for this one. Met by a Vikings attacker there in Mummy Snow. And still the pressure on coming from Vikings. So right back to game number 2 here. But can they convert? Here's Pondex, but with not a lot of boost. Flame pushes that one away. Here comes Veloce, their first chance on offense. It's a weak clear to the corner, but cleaned up by the Vikings defense. Veloce, lots of time and space. Freaky, pass out to Niels Cook, looking for the backboard, immediately met by Maestro. Flame, again, tries to find the backboard. Maestro has just been a monster there, not letting anything go by.
Yeah, he's been a force on the defense. Really, you could say that for all their players. They've had some weak clears, certainly, but defending that backboard is incredibly important, especially when you're playing against Veloce. They seem to make use of that backboard like it's just, you know, they love it like ice cream. But they've been able to deal with it rather effectively.
So the Vikings have an opportunity here. The dribble on Maestro. Veloce defenders immediately pounce on top of that one. Mummy Snow, a poor clear. Now Maestro on the dribble once more, tries to find a teammate. He does, and beans it to the back of the net. Mummy Snow with a fantastic shot, and the Vikings up by 1.
You could see the gleam in their eyes as they went for this play. Maestro getting that first touch. You could tell he had so much control, and with that little bit of space that Veloce gave him, he had Mummy Snow in his rearview mirror. Or I suppose not necessarily in his rearview. He wasn't behind him. You get the idea. Mummy Snow was right there. He knew exactly what was going on, and a great connection overall.
So a hard shot and a hard-fought goal here for Vikings in the first minute and a half. Veloce looking to respond. Off the kickoff, not able to. Flame beat to the ball. Veloce back on defense. Here's Freaky. Pushing this one out. Flame once more. Easy clear here for Mummy Snow, and it's Pondex downfield for the Vikings. Trying to get a 2-goal lead, but Freaky knocks that one down. A tough save from Maestro. The follow-up comes through from Niels Cook. Looks for the pass. Freaky once more, and he puts it away. A high IQ pass coming out from Niels Cook.
Yeah, this is incredibly good vision from Niels Cook. Any regular player would see that and say, okay, I got to take a shot on the net. There are 2 guys there. What do I do? Not Niels. He does not panic in that situation. He sees Freaky still playable across the field and makes an absolutely outstanding pass over there just underneath the crossbar. Great way to tie up.
A beautiful goal coming out from Veloce, and that's how you respond with a nice passing play, a combination play at the top of the box. Veloce maybe trying to find some sort of momentum here in Game 3 as we are tied up in this series. Mummy Snow, this one's going to be high. It's Flame able to meet it. Not able to follow it up, though, as Veloce struggled to get a hold of that ball after the initial touch. Great bump coming out from Flame as he prevents Maestro from going up and puts the Vikings back on defense. Here's the pass down from Niels Cook off the crossbar, but it's saved by Maestro. Still the attack on for Veloce, and they can't put it away.
And how do you make these reads, Maestro? I mean, obviously he had to go up for that one. They could have been underneath the crossbar, but even so, he still got the save even if it was off the crossbar. Here's Niels, gonna send it away. Mummy Snow, obviously like nothing he can do on that lower line right there. He just has to watch in absolute agony as Niels Cook's just gonna make the play himself.
And it comes straight down. That's a tough read coming out from Mummy Snow, and Niels Cook could read it all the way through, puts it away, and Veloce now up by 1.
Just past the half as well. It's been a back and forth game once again. Great passing plays coming out from both sides. Of course, Niels Cook made that last play by himself, and Flame looking to do the same, and he will actually.
They just let him do it.
Poor 50-50 from Maestro, I must say.
So look at all the time Flame has here. He controls his boost, and then he just kind of sits on it, and he waits for the Viking defenders to think about it for a second, and then he turns back on the boost, and he puts it right over their head, and it pinches to the goal.
Maestro's been so solid on the defensive line. It is kind of outlandish that he would make such a play as that one. Obviously, you know, it's difficult. Flame's going to get a free one off the kickoff. This is not what we were looking for. We've had 1-goal games in games 1 and 2, and now Veloce just running away.
And all of the sudden, Veloce really starting to open things up, and it's off the back of Flame. He's been a part of the last 3 goals, getting the last 2 for himself. Now a 4-1 scoreline for Veloce, and it's come off of a couple kickoffs. See if one more can go in favor, or maybe the Vikings can respond, and they do have time here with 1 minute and 50 seconds left, but they've really got to go. Pondex not able to follow that one up, and Veloce now can just sit on their lead comfortably, a 3-goal cushion. The pressure is on the Vikings. There's a shot down just off the target. Vikings still cannot convert. They've had chances, 4 shots coming through. Here's an open net as Flame just barely gets to it. The shot was too weak from the Vikings. Everyone was beat on Veloce. And Freaky has an open net back the other way, and all of a sudden the defense for Vikings seems to just be falling apart.
I wouldn't know. I mean, I would argue that, that wasn't necessarily the defense falling apart, as, everyone just dove at that one. We saw a double commit for that completely open net that they weren't even able to convert on. That is a sign that the Vikings are starting to panic a little bit. Honestly, though, can you blame them? If they got a 4-goal deficit now, things not looking up so far. But Veloce, for them, it is looking up. A great demo right there. Niels Cook can't get it through, but there will still be opportunity on the horizon.
1 minute left for the Vikings. And it's looking bleak. Maestro, he's had a couple dribbles. Not able to convert on any of them so far. It's time ticking down. The Vikings know their time could be up here in game number 3. And it feels like after a close couple 2 games for Vikings, this one they kind of got out of their system now. They give up almost 5 straight goals here in the last 2 minutes. And that one's going to drop away from Mummy Snow all of a sudden. The Vikings have maybe a sign of life here as Pondex and Mummy Snow able to find the back of the net. It's really just Mummy Snow throwing it down the field and Niels Cook missing the touch there. And so for the Vikings, they got 36 seconds to score 3 goals.
Yeah, of course, they got a pulse. I'm not exactly certain how long that's going to last, though. Obviously, 3-goal deficit, still not the greatest, and you can tell that they've already scrambled a little bit this game, so they're probably just going to try and look forward to the next game, unless they can pull one off there. Did get blocked away by Freaky rather easily. But Veloce with so much control, and honestly, I feel like it was more of just like a simple mistake from the Vikings led to them kind of breaking down personally, especially that one air drag that Flame was able to score past Maestro. I feel like that was really the turning point for me.
Yeah, and it feels like for Veloce now, a sign of confidence as time's just going to tick down here. We can see Veloce in a comfortable lead and playing a lot more defensive, just not letting anything come through from the Vikings. That one's going to drop, and game number 3 is going to go in favor of Veloce. Now on series point, Veloce, who have started off 2-0 in the European Rival Series, a big win could come over the Vikings here if they take Game 4.
And obviously the Vikings having relegated from the RLCS, this would be a massive win to take. And obviously we're talking about if they win this match, then they're going to be front runners in the Rival Series. So good stuff overall, and I have to highlight the passing plays. We didn't see too much of it in games 1 and 2. Felt like they were trying to play a little bit more solo, which Flame and Freaky are obviously very adept at. Niels Cook can get his word in edgeways as well in that category. But overall, the vision was just fantastic. I love to see that. That's what really gave them the edge. I feel like they could have outscored the Vikings with just purely passing plays. They didn't necessarily need the open net. They didn't need the air drag to just get past Maestro somehow. It happens sometimes.
Right.
But, for Vikings, clean it up a little bit on the defense. They shouldn't have too much of a problem. But now that Veloce is making passes, you got to start worrying about that.
Well, I really want to dive deep here into the Vikings and talk about exactly what went wrong, because it feels like a couple goals that go in and all of a sudden the confidence goes down, the patience on defense goes away. Those felt a little bit rushed afterwards. That led to a couple more goals, and you let Flame run all over you. So now how do you respond back in game number 4?
With lots of force, I think, is the answer. I mean, I don't want to see them break down, obviously, on defense. That was the real killer for them. But, I mean, this is really the only way you can get back into this one is making sure that you're playing solid on offense. And honestly, I don't know. Usually after you see a team break down like that on defense, it's a big journey to get back into your solid mindset.
Changes have to be made for Vikings here in game number 4 if they want to stay alive in this series. Niels Cook almost immediately having an opportunity. Veloce back to business. This one off the backboard. Flame just barely saved by Maestro. And the Vikings feeling that pressure once more. The dunk by Niels Cook. Can he put it away, actually? Mummy Snow tied up around him. Still the pressure on. This one's finally cleared away by the Vikings. Here's Niels Cook. Over 1. It's Pondex in the back for the clear. Freaky done such a good job of controlling that midfield, and every clear that the Vikings have had been met by Freaky. Almost has another great shot from a wonderful pass. Veloce really finding each other in the midfield.
Yeah, we were talking about how much of a threat that was last game, at least in the middle of that match. And so watching the Vikings try and play that pass defense right now, they're keeping it solid. They're keeping the ball pushed to the midfield line, but slowly their boost is going to start dwindling as Veloce steadily move downfield.
A double commit comes out from both sides, from Veloce and Vikings. Pondex forced to clear this one laterally. Mummy Snow backflips to not push that ball away and give up possession. He left it for Pondex, but Flame picks it up. Now going for the flip reset. He does get it, but not enough power to scoop that ball over the last defender. Maestro was there, but Vikings still feeling the pressure. Freaky just delaying the clear. Maestro forced to respect for Freaky. Still another double commit comes out from Vikings. Disorganized defense starting to show, and Veloce slowly starting to clamp down.
And you could tell Flame going for that flip reset, starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. And of course, putting on so much pressure by yourself gives your teammates a lot of time to get set up for a potential passing play or make a play off of the clear. So now for Vikings, you know, you mentioned it, they're starting to get a little bit more disorganized on defense again, and you hate to see that, but that's just the sad truth at the moment.
And Flame not able to put that one down either. That pinch, if it was a little bit harder, might have slipped by Niels Cook in the end. With 0 boosts, trying to collect the ball and the boost here. Accidentally gives it up. And Veloce starting to feel a little bit of pressure from the Vikings. That's not the best clear from Flame. Freaky and Niels Cook both forced to go up for that one. Only Mummy Snow went for that one on the Vikings.
And really, I mean, you think about that. Vikings had a good opportunity there. That double commit, they had some people in the midfield they could have gone for, but they just left Mummy Snow up there a little bit. Kind of cold feet, trying to move out onto the offense, something they'll desperately need. A great demo, though, from Niels Cook. Takes out Maestro. No potential for a counter there.
And here comes Freaky. Immediately transitions downfield. That's a hard shot. Turned away by Niels Cook. So still a 0-0 game between these two teams. They've really, aside from the last game, have been evenly matched. That one's going to be saved by Freaky. The follow-up from Maestro goes in, and Vikings finally get on the board.
Such a good shot here from Pondex. Forcing 2 defenders to go up is really the key of this entire play. Niels Cook and Freaky both up for that ball, left nobody on the goal line that was actionable for that shot. And of course, Maestro, he's got that world champion tag for a reason. He didn't get to play at the LAN, but he definitely showed his worth in the regular season, and he's showing it right here.
So Vikings strike first. A much-needed goal here in Game 4. As Veloce still sit scoreless. Another shot might drop, and it does for Maestro. The Vikings now building upon their lead.
And Veloce really paying their dues for that one, getting a little bit aggressive with the passing plays, and Mummy Snow's going to cut you off if you try and do that one in a great transition as well. He not only cut off the passing lane, but created one of his own, found Maestro, and an excellent play overall for the Vikings. Their defense looks to be taking advantage of Veloce kind of getting comfortable on the offensive half.
So Vikings trying to force a Game 5 here but against Veloce. And for Veloce now, you start to wonder those missed opportunities, those chances, the control that they've had in the final third not paying off once more as Vikings find another one, and once again, it's Maestro for the hat trick.
Well, I think Maestro was looking at this one saying, all right, let's just get a solid 50-50 and keep it in the blue half. And little did he know he was going to end up finding the back of the net, because that one crossing the goal line was not something I think anybody really expected. Of course, Flame, I think, least going up for that one, but the fact remains, Vikings have a 3-0 lead, and they're looking a lot more confident. I have to say, I'm proud of that transition because they were doing really poorly on the defense at the end of last match, but they turned it right around.
And a bump comes out, and Niels Cook able to follow up and put it away. Veloce not going to go silently.
80 seconds left, though, and that's the key. A nice pass from Freaky, I'll give him that, and you mentioned the bump from Flame, so really a 3-man play for Veloce. That's the way you want to try and get back into a match, but is it a little bit too late in this series, or sorry, this game at the very least? Vikings with that 3-1 lead, maybe they're starting to pick up their confidence a little bit.
Well, they need 2 goals here in a minute and 15. Absolutely doable here for Veloce. And they've putting on the pressure to do it. Freaky might be the one to lead them as that one's turned away. The demo comes on from Pondex. The shot goes in from Niels Cook, and Veloce are within 1.
And you like this passing play again. Veloce starting to just get a little bit more comfortable in the offensive end. This is not the first time we've seen a quality pass. This time it's Flame finding Niels Cook scoring once again. And great placement on that one. Forced the defenders to scramble. Didn't look like it was in, but hey, you don't really care about how the ball went in. It's just that it happened.
I gotta say, Niels Cook really having himself a series here. The shots that we've seen from him and the passing have really led Veloce to this point, and maybe one more. Flame set up by who else but Niels Cook. A 3-3 game here in Game 4.
Why did I ever doubt Veloce in the first place? A great pass, finding that real estate on the backboard, and I mentioned this earlier, Veloce will eat up that backboard like ice cream, and oh my goodness, you miss it the one time and you just missed the entire play.
28 seconds for Veloce, and 3 goals is all it took to catch back up to Vikings. That took 4 minutes for them to build this 3-goal lead. So now the question goes back to Vikings. How do they respond after giving up 3 goals in 30 seconds? That's a shot that just goes wide. It bounces off of Mummy Snow's car into his own corner. 30 seconds left now. Veloce looking to strike and put this series away. Niels Cook over to Flame. He might have an opportunity here with some boost. He's got Freaky in the midfield, but he pinches this one away. Still opportunity for Flame as he's met. And now Pondex turns away Freaky's shot, but Veloce might have the last say here as we're into the final 10. Not the best clear from Maestros, goes straight to Freaky. Turned away by the Vikings. This one in the midfield, it's just gonna drop. Actually kept up and still up for the Vikings. Niels Cook's got to deal with this one now, trying to drop that one down and kill it. We will have overtime in game number 4.
And honestly, this is a great reset for the Vikings. You could tell there was a lot of pressure against them in that last half, especially with Veloce scoring 3 unanswered goals. So that's definitely good. But now the Vikings facing a little bit of a drought potentially, and Veloce feeling good about that last half. This is dangerous stuff.
Yeah, a drought by Veloce standards at this point in this game, as they have slowed down their scoring spree here. Here's Niels Cook. And the follow-up for the Vikings here as Freaky's forced to go into the challenge. 2 from the Vikings waiting for the clear. Niels Cook does well to keep possession there. And a shot comes out off the back wall. All of Vikings there to see it and turn it away. Freaky once again in the midfield, doing a great job of keeping Veloce in it. And a long clear comes out from Niels Cook. The Vikings back and forth between these two teams right now in overtime. Just under the first minute here as a long clear comes out. Freaky forced to deal with that one. So Vikings just kind of testing the water right now, seeing what Veloce will give them. And that's a long clear. It's up to Freaky. He's got to make the save. He does. Pondex was there for Vikings. Now Flame. Not a lot of support on the right side of the field there. Turned away by Vikings once more. Freaky. The pass out to Flame. Veloce looking to strike. Not the best clear coming out from Mummy Snow as it does get overrun, but he does recover. Niels Cook's there. An opportunity here for Veloce. That one drops in front. Freaky not able to get there fast enough, and Pondex clears it away. So Veloce starting to show some teeth here in overtime. Freaky into his own corner.
Yeah, Veloce, they're starting to show their teeth, but watch out for the Vikings, because there you go. That's Mama Snow getting the pass from Maestro. I was literally just about to start talking about how Vikings were starting to get, they were more comfortable in defense. They were slowing down Veloce where they weren't able to in regulation, and they were starting to make passes upfield. That is the pinnacle of it, what I was talking about in that instance. They finally managed to say, okay, all right, Veloce, you guys had a good scoring spree. Well, we're going to have to stop you right there. We're not going to just drop this game because we decided to play a little bit lax.
So the Vikings hold on. And what feels like all the momentum was on the Vikings, or excuse me, the Veloce side. After you score 3 goals in about 30 seconds, you feel like when you go into overtime, Veloce should have sealed the deal here. But Vikings, after absorbing a little bit of pressure in the first minute or so, find the opening. They put it away, and it's off the back of Maestro. He's done such a good job here in game number 4. 3 goals to his name, and of course, Mummy Snow getting that last goal for himself. But Maestro was a part of every single goal here in game 4.
Yeah, Maestro really stood out. I mean, you couldn't have said it any better with that hat trick. Obviously, there were a couple of goals that were like, oh, wow, okay. And really surprising, to be perfectly honest. But you mentioned it, Veloce going to the overtime felt like they were going to have the advantage. But I really like how the Vikings used that reset, and they said, okay, let's just take a second, step back, and think, how did we do this in regulation before Veloce started scoring? And then they just kind of reverted to that. They said, okay, hit us with your best shot. We're just going to throw it downfield and put it right back in your net.
And for Veloce now, that loss doesn't really feel that great because you make a comeback, you get to overtime, and then you drop the ball. And so for them, you feel a little bit deflated coming into Game 5. And for Vikings, it feels like they have a little bit of the momentum. Winning Game 4 and forcing Game 5, it does feel like the team who wins Game 4 has a lot more momentum going into Game 5, especially after an overtime goal.
Yeah, but with Veloce, I mean, 3 unanswered goals is nothing you can you can't really shake a stick at that. So they're going to have some momentum as well. It's really going to be a battle of the mentalities at this point. Game number 5, oh boy.
So the game to decide it all here. Veloce looking to go 3-0, and Vikings looking to get a first win on the board here as they sit 0-0 for the season. Freaky not able to get the touch there. Flame. Here's Maestro over to Mummy Snow. Vikings trying to find a goal early. They did build a nice lead early on in Game 4. Veloce then turned it around swiftly. Flame, lots of time and space here. Takes a second to look, gets the fake, over to Freaky. Can he put it away? Wonderfully done between Flame and Freaky, and Veloce on the board first.
This is a passing play, but we all know deep in our hearts that this is really just Flame showing off his 1v1 skills. What a fake to get it around the first defender, and then has Freaky across straight into the upper corner as if there was anybody else to beat. Just an overall quality play from Veloce to take the lead.
And I'm glad we got to see Flame's perspective, because you could see him gauge his time and space as he went into the corner. He could see that he could beat the last defender. He knew that Freaky was going to be on the far side. So a big heads-up play, trusting your teammates and trusting your own ability to find the first goal. Veloce does just that. Here's Freaky trying to find a second goal. Pondex turns that one away. Vikings get a little bit of breathing room. And maybe an opportunity here as the ball control was botched on the defensive side of Veloce. Here's Niels Cook. He's got Freaky down. He's going for the demo. He actually misses. And Pondex, a slow clear out, and this one's going to bounce across the box of Vikings. Not feeling any pressure from Veloce. Here's Maestro now. Goes under Niels Cook. The follow-up there. Shot from Pondex, turned away by Freaky at the top shelf. Freaky again on the ball here. Vikings have opportunity. Here's Pondex. Now Maestro. Another opportunity turned away by Veloce, and they're able to get out.
Lots of aggression by the Vikings, though. We could tell there was one particular situation where Veloce double committed on the ball. We've seen that a couple of times from their defense so far. Not a position you want to be in. Niels Cook couldn't get the double tap there. Demos coming out from our orange team right now. The Vikings getting a little bit physical in their play. We saw it once in the net, one on the side. They're just trying to break out, see what they can do to screw up the opponents.
And Maestro lucked out, missing that touch there off the crossbar, but nonetheless, Vikings still trying to hold on here, only down by one. Plenty of time to get back into it. Veloce trying to build upon their lead. Here's a shot now from Pondex. It seems like Pondex getting the majority of chances for Vikings here in this game so far. Maestro playing with this ball, just trying to find the space. So he does get the demo on Freaky, but the ball pinches out. Vikings still pressure on. And the bump, looking for the follow-up, not there. Too crowded for Vikings as Veloce able to get out. And Mummy Snow collects the ball into his own corner. The demo comes out, it's just Niels Cook back, and Pondex actually beats him on the demolition. The Vikings able to tie it up.
And this is just another day at the office for Pondex. Getting that first demo, though, was not. That was a very heads-up play. And then obviously with just Niels Cook to beat coming in from the side there, again, not really that difficult for Pondex. You know, he does this kind of stuff for breakfast. So they have the tie in the second half. And you've mentioned that Pondex has been getting a lot of the opportunities. The demo plays definitely starting to come in handy as well. The Vikings playing a little bit unorthodox when you consider the rest of the series has been rather mechanically based.
3 shots to Pondex's name alone here for Vikings. Maestro trying to put this one across. A dangerous ball dealt with perfectly by Freaky with the backflip and beats the oncoming attacker from Vikings. Now Veloce trying to get back into the lead. Flame off the back wall. Freaky, can he put it away? He absolutely does. And Vikings Veloce take back the lead.
And he was in an awkward spot here, but Freaky does not care. A solid pass over to Flame and then back to Freaky. You can tell, again, they're great at making the solo plays. But, you know, when it comes to making passes, yeah, they can deal with it. They're plenty good enough at that one. And with a lead at 90 seconds on the clock, things are starting to look difficult for the Vikings, but they've been playing pretty well this match.
Time starting to tick down. 1 minute and 20 left for Vikings. The ball has been bouncing quite a bit on the Veloce side, but here's Flame. He just goes past everyone. Can he put it away? It's off the post. He pitches it into the back of the net, and Veloce go up by 2.
A huge decision from Maestro here. And, you know, people are going to argue, did he make the right choice there? He has to go for that ball because he's the last man to keep it in the zone. But at the same time, he had that risk. If I get beat, it's a goal against. Then, unfortunately, it was the latter. They have a deficit of 2 with 72 seconds.
A high risk, high reward decision ends up with punishment. 1 minute left now for Vikings. Still can come back into this game. No time to panic quite yet, but they do need one quickly here. Niels Cook, long clear coming out from him. Veloce, it seems like when they build a 2-goal lead, they start to sit back a little bit more and just kind of play prevent defense and not let anyone through. They don't have to score, but an open net, and it's missed by Mummy Snow, made up for by Pondex. And the Vikings, a sigh of relief to see that one go in.
Yeah, a sigh of relief for the Vikings and for myself as well. I was watching this saying, okay, that's a great demo. Now you just need to put the shot. Oh, no, that was almost a disaster. But fortunately, Pondex realized what was happening, was able to turn it on that one. And the Vikings still in this one. They have 38 seconds. We've seen them make some pretty amazing plays. The first time that the Veloce eSports had a multiple goal lead, they did win it out rather significantly, but the Vikings aren't done yet.
30 seconds left. Vikings have the pressure. A big miss comes out from Niels Cook. This ball's bouncing, but nobody from the Vikings there. Finally, Maestro gets there, but it's just tapped away into the corner. The pressure's still on from Vikings. They need to keep it on for the last 15 seconds. That's a great pass out to Pondex, just wide of the net. And this one cleared away. Veloce have 10 seconds to hang on. Vikings, 5 seconds left. Down the field, it's floating towards the Veloce net. Pushed down by Freaky. This ball floating into 0-second time. Niels Cook's just going to kill it. It's going to bounce up for Vikings. Maybe an opportunity to go the full length of the field here as they still keep it up. This ball's just going to drop. Nobody from Vikings there. And Veloce move on to 3-0 and take down the Vikings in a 5-game series.
Fantastic overall. And Veloce, that was almost a little bit of a nail biter at the end there. When Pondex got that doink, looked like it could have moved downfield, but Freaky did his best to make the bumps. And honestly, MVP for Veloce, just about everyone. I mean, we had plenty of good plays from every single player. Flame, Freaky, Niels Cook, all making passing plays. Niels Cook had a lot of good strikes. If I'm not mistaken, a hat trick in one game as well when we were playing on Neo Tokyo. Things just looking so good for them overall.
It is really tough to pick a player that really stood out from Veloce. You know, I'm looking at the goals here, and everyone's getting involved. It seems like Freaky and Flame had a really good day together, and I think that Niels Cook played well individually, if that makes any sense at all. It just seems like Veloce really played a fantastic Rocket League against the Vikings here, and to take them down a 5-game series, it's improvement for the Vikings. Remember, Vikings lost to Veloce 1-3 in the DreamHack Leipzig qualifier, so improvement there, but unfortunately dropping down and moving to 0-1 here in the European Rival Series.
And as I mentioned, Pondex may have just been a little bit of new blood when they played in DreamHack Leipzig, and of course they did lose that one out. They lost it out here again, a close series. And I wonder what would happen if they didn't take that 5-2 defeat in that game. I'm just curious because we had 1-goal games every single time except for that one match. If Vikings had showed up there, who knows what could have happened, but that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, we only know one timeline, and that's Veloce winning in game number 5, but we got more European Rival Series coming up. Method versus ARG, not NRG. ARG.
That would be a mix-up.
That would be interesting, but ARG versus Method, you don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we get started again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we get started.
Maybe feelings change, I can remember all the reasons why we've been separate ways. Feeling all alone in your company, keeping you captive with guilty chains.
When night and day, solar eclipses. Too afraid to look, too scared to miss it. When night and day, solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Solar eclipses. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we get started again. Caught up in your gravity, always end up lost in your wake. Intoxicated, maybe we get started again. Tomorrow we build, depends on the future we want, we can make it as real. Maybe we will, though, give up the ego. Making it feel good. Just let it go.
Welcome back to week 2 of the rival series for Veloce eSports. Step 1 of the gauntlet is now complete as they are able to take down their opponents in game number 5 of a series that felt very evenly matched to me at the beginning. Overtimes in games number 1 and 2, but game 3 to me really seemed to define that series. The passing plays were absolutely insane from Veloce.
Yeah, it seemed like in Game 3 things fell apart for Vikings, but I think outside of that game, it was pretty close. All the games were 1-goal games, aside from Game 3, obviously. So for Vikings, it was just about that one game that really came back, and that's what hurt them here in this series.
Yeah, you mentioned the game 1 and 2 overtimes, but I'm looking at the game 4 overtime because that was the real nail-biter for me personally. I mean, watching the Vikings play that one out, it was a constant state of, oh no. But they did pull it out in the end, so tough stuff.
They had that at-will offense to be down 3 goals, and you're like, actually, that's not the biggest problem in the world. That is some amazing offense for the Vikings. What do you think they need to change going into the rest of the season?
Convert your chances. Because what we saw in this game was Vikings a slow burn early on. You said it in the beginning of the series, and then they really got to start and be more confident here. But it just never felt like they had this crippling offense that Veloce had. We talked about the passing plays that we saw from Veloce. Didn't see it too often from the Vikings. We saw spurts of it here and there, but it felt like Veloce was much more organized moving down the field, and the Vikings were just taking advantage of mistakes that Veloce were giving up.
It did feel like that, and I think I'm going to echo that sentiment as well. And the couple of opportunities that they did have felt like a couple of times they would take a shot on net and it would go off the wayside, and that's really the issue. I mean, you mentioned it. Converting your chances, most important part about that is putting on the shots when you have the opportunity. Their defense looked very strong in games 1 and 2 as well. It seems like they kind of rearranged and said, okay, we're going to kind of half and half it, but it didn't work out in the end. You can't win them all, though.
In rival series, you got to show up in those key moments. Another team looking to make adjustments is going to be Method. They'll be taking on ARG. This is going to be a very important matchup for them because I feel like Method did not play up to the level of expectations that they had for themselves. ARG has something to prove also. This is going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, taking that loss against the Baguette squad last week for ARG, I feel like it was kind of half and half of Baguette squad really playing well and coming out to play in their first week and showing up, and then half ARG kind of not playing up to their own standards because they did fantastically in the Renegade Cup finals. They've been dominating the Spanish scene, save FC Barcelona. Obviously, they're going to be taking wins all day in that. In that area, but I feel like if they have a better showing this week, then we could see a good match. But at the same time, Method, they're strong. I feel like they're going to have a lot of confidence coming into this one.
Method's strong. I think we assume Method's strong, but we really haven't seen too much of them quite yet because they lost to Complexity. They got swept by Complexity, and Complexity have just looked so good.
Right.
So for Method, I think that's an accepted loss. But then they have a tough 5-game win over Xenomoon, And we look at Xenomoon, and they're kind of at the bottom of the standing, maybe a middle-of-the-pack team. But for Method, ARG is a great test because ARG has a very tough week coming up for them here. Not only do they have to play Method, but they also have to play Veloce and Complexity here. So ARG season is going to be defined right here in this week, and Method would love to go up 2-0 here with their record.
They got to have a strong performance here. In terms of predictions, though, Method, ARG, Corelli, who do you think is going to take it?
I have faith in Method. Ocelon, he's been part of 83% of the goals here for Method. They've only played 2 games, but I think that he's really come alive and fit well into this team so far. They can bounce back from their loss against Complexity and take down ARG.
Yeah, we mentioned how Ocelon kind of has big shoes to fill, what with Casio being gone off the roster now over to Triple Trouble, and I feel like he's doing a good job there. So I've got Methods back in this game. It would be sad to see ARG take this loss, but I don't feel like they're going to be able to pull it out.
I actually do think that they are going to be able to pull it out. Method against Complexity, yeah, that seemed like a wash. Complexity is just a well-oiled machine, but I do see them struggle quite a bit against a newer team in Xenomoon last week. So for me, I think they need to kind of prove themselves. They could very well do that right now, but let's find out. Method taking on ARG. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thanks so much, Haloran. And yes, Method sitting 1-1, ARG at 0-1. ARG would love to go 1-1 here in the European Rival Series before they have to go into Veloce and Complexity.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No team has ever finished top 2 with 3 losses on the docket. So for ARG sitting 0-1 and having still very tough teams to come ahead, things are looking bleak for their top 2 position.
Yeah, I think that's really the way we're looking at that one right now. Right now, my prediction is not for ARG in the top 2 with this kind of schedule, but if they can come out strong against Method, then, we could be looking at a turnaround. Maybe I have to rethink that because, as we mentioned, Method is a strong roster. They've got the experience in the Rivals series, and it is really up to them to define this series. So for me, ARG are going to be the X factor altogether. So many strong players, and they've had good performances in the past. Can they pull it out on the most important of stages?
Well, there's only one way to find out, Squid, and that's to pit them against each other here in a best of 5. Method and ARG facing off. ARG already on the back foot here, Burrito beat. We saw Method struggle really against Xenomoon early on in finding chances, and something that we noticed was that Method was consistent against Xenomoon, but just couldn't find the back of the net. Now ARG trying to put him in the hole early. Here's Ocelon on the far clear. We saw him last week perform well on stream for Method. Ocelon now beat on that shot. Rix Ronde, no support as everyone moved past him. Here's Ocelon once again. Pushing this one along is Burrito B. Method trying to formulate an attack. Here's Rix Ronde, a free shot down, turned away by GCR. Now it's ARG's turn. GCR pushes this one to the back wall. ARG a slow attack here as they accidentally run into each other. Method break out. Ocelon. Now Clayx. No boost to his name, just pushing this one downfield, hoping Mark by 8, who's been a standout player for ARG. It's been a huge offensive boon for them, a part of just about every single one of their goals in their one game that they've had so far. Here's Burrito B trying to get the bump across the net. Method slowly starting to put on some sort of attack, but ARG has been able to turn it away so far.
Yeah, and I was mentioning how ARG didn't necessarily, I don't think they came out as strong as they could have in week number 1, and so far holding Method to 0 goals seems to be a pretty good staple of, a good team. So I'm looking to see what they can really do with this one. Are they going to end up taking the lead, or are they just going to drop it?
This ball bouncing across the Method side. ARG, Mark by 8 actually just gives up the ball by accident, and he couldn't control it up the wall. Here comes GCR, beats one. Rix Ronde, the last man back, can't get to the ball, and ARG get the first goal on the board.
Well, there you go. That's the answer to my question, and GCR doing a good job of making sure that this one does find its way into the back of the net. Ocelon beaten out there, and Rix Ronde just a little bit too far up the field. Of course, sometimes you can't always be in the box. A little bit of a mistake there, I think, on the side of Method, but way to make use of it.
So ARG strike first, after what you thought Method had a little bit more pressure early on. Rix Ronde not able to follow that one up. ARG forced to come out of their own corner. Burrito B trying to slow it down. Mark by 8. A shot on target to the back post, and it goes off the crossbar. The save from Burrito B is credited. Another shot comes in from ARG, and this is what we've seen from ARG when we saw him in play-ins. Another shot, and GCR finds the second goal.
And assisted by Mark by 8. I mean, this is just a great pass. You got all that open space on the backboard. Why don't you make use of it? He says, okay, we'll do exactly that. And there's nobody on the goal line there for Method. We could see the one defender was there, but he was not anywhere close to being in position. He was still on the rotation.
And something that we said about ARG was that they looked really good in play-ins, and then we saw them play against Baguette Squad in their loss 1-3 to them on stream, and they didn't look very good. And so far here in game number 1 against Method, ARG have really started to find form in that play-ins form that we saw a few weeks ago. Brix Ronde there's a demo on the ARG side. It's just Clayx back, marked by 8. Moves past 1, buys himself a little bit of time and space for his teammates to get out and down the field. GCR beats 1, looking for the pass across. He's got someone there at the top of the box. It's Clayx who puts it away, and ARG in full control, up by 3.
Loving the passing plays. This is really the same story as Veloce. You got GCR, he's able to make the solo plays, he's able to make the pass plays, and he's got his buddies to do it with him. There's Clayx with a great shot off to the left side. They just look to have so much space in the offensive half that they don't really care what Method's doing on the defense. They're just going to try and shoot their shot, and it worked out.
So the question is now, in the court of Method, what on earth do you have to do to get back into this game? They have struggled to put any sort of offense together. ARG have just controlled the Method side. And aside from clears like these to the ARG corner, Method haven't really been able to put anything together. But maybe an opportunity will come here. Ocelon with no boost, throws it to the box. A poor clear comes out from GCR, but in the end, ARG able to push it away. Mark by 8, a light clear into his corner. Method just waiting for the mistake to come from ARG, but with a minute left and you're down by 3, you've got to create your own chances. Mark by 8, that's a tough ball to defend for Burrito B, and the shot comes through for GCR. Not able to convert, less than a minute left now for Method.
And it looks like, I just took a look at Burrito B's cam there. It looked like he had plenty of boost to work with, so not going up for that ball on the backboard was a risky decision, did pay off. But still, giving them that kind of space on the wall when they've scored a pass off there before is stuff that you don't want to do. And you mentioned they're already down by 3. That's something you absolutely cannot let happen.
Oh, Rix Ronde trying to get a highlight of a goal there. Still can't find the back of the net is Method. Rix Ronde. And Method, everyone going for that ball. Rix Ronde once again gets a touch, but he's got no help from his teammates. Everyone was forced to play the defensive side. And ARG gonna walk into a game number 1 victory, comfortable lead, and a comfortable game for ARG. And it feels like the pressure now is on Method to make the changes necessary to take game 2.
There's more pressure on Method right now than there is on ARG in the game. I mean that in the most real fashion. They just weren't putting anything threatening on target. And when you're watching ARG on their own back line, it just seems like they're taking a casual Sunday stroll right now. But, I mean, for Method, you got to be making that offensive play. We've seen so much out of them before. You mentioned that Ocelon has been doing such a great job of being a striker. He's got 1 shot this game. That is an absolute must not have for Method right now. I mean, your star striker is basically just sitting on the bench.
Right. And so for ARG now, a 3-0 lead, and they have 9 shots to the 3 coming out from Method. Back to form for ARG. We were kind of questioning where this team would be after their loss to Baguette Squad. We mentioned it earlier on in game number 1, and now they come out and they really crush Method here in the first game. ARG, they're looking a lot better. Mark by 8 getting involved. GCR getting much more involved now, part of all the goals there, 2 goals and 1 assist. So things are coming together for ARG. Now can they carry that through a series?
And the momentum definitely in their favor. And we mentioned that Method, I feel like they might have come into this match thinking if they lost to Baguette Squad, they might not be the strongest team we've ever seen. Well, maybe it's time to do your homework because ARG is doing it for you right about now. They're just taking all of your striking opportunities. They're turning them against you in every way possible. Whenever you get the ball down to the orange side, it's sent straight back and oftentimes at the goal line.
And it feels like Method really struggling to break out of their own end. It felt like ARG had full control of the midfield boost as well, just long clears coming out from Method when they had the chance, but ARG didn't give them too many opportunities to break out from their own end. It's what led to all the pressure, the 9 shots, the 3 goals, and the shutout for ARG. So we'll get into game 2 here, and we'll find out, can Method make a difference and the changes necessary to take down ARG here in game number 2, because right now it has not looked good.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about it already. You got to get Ocelon a little bit more involved on the offense, but as is right now, they don't really have any offense to speak of. So when it comes to transitional play, how are you going to beat the ARG players? You already mentioned that they've got so much midfield control, what with the boost and such. And I mean, it's really difficult to make a transitional play downfield with some sort of aerial pass if you have nobody that can aerial on your team. So, I mean, for Ocelon and Burrito B and Rick's Ronde, what are you going to do about it? Because at this point, you can't just lie down and take it and expect to take a win in this series. And a loss here would mean that they're already matched for their losses that they had last season at 2 in series. So this is kind of a clutch up moment. You got to do something about this.
Get into game number 2 here. Method looking to make some changes and bounce back after a tough loss here in game number 1. Here's Rick's Ronde. Popping that one up is for Burrito B. ARG not really getting too many touches on the ball here. Method pass out to Rick's Ronde. Maybe a second touch. It is there. No one to follow it up from Method, and ARG slowly trying to find their way downfield here. They are across the box, and still no shot comes from them. So for Method, already starting off a little bit better here. With 2 go for Method, though. This is dangerous. Clayx, he's got 1 to beat. And with no boost, can't make it happen.
And it seems like I've already seen like the polar opposites from Method. We saw off that first touch off the back wall, you got both the players sitting at the midfield line saying, I don't really want to go for this. And then on the other end, you had both players saying, I really want to go for this. They end up double committing and they both lose it out. So you gotta find one or the other. You gotta have one person going for that ball. A great 50-50 from Ocelon. But again, nobody's close enough to make a play.
Clayx able just to steal that one away and push it upfield. Just past a minute here in game number 2, and nobody's really put on any clear chance. Rick's Ronde maybe has one as that goes by everybody. Ocelon comes through to try and clean it up, but can't get it. Method accidentally put it to their own corner. Clayx is there. The pass across the box. Nobody from ARG is home. And Ocelon forced to clear that one away and buy Method some time.
And again, a scramble on the goal line. Method just not looking like they're very well-oriented right now. I mean, sometimes I can understand if you're going for a scramble on the goal line, but at least just say, like, I got it, guys. There's nobody coming. Something along those lines. But right now, we're just looking at what could basically be like a solo queue.
And it's funny because when I look at ARG, something I wrote down before this series was that I wanted them to stay organized. They didn't look very organized against Baguette Squad, but really the same could be said for Method right now, is just disorganization on the defensive side of things. And a lot of the balls downfield are met by Rick's Ronde, but with no support from his teammates, either with no boost or just can't get down the field that fast because of a double commit on defense or just unable to get involved on the play. So ARG really only have to worry about one player moving down the field right now, as Method have struggled to move as a unit, but maybe an opportunity here for Burrito B. Method trying to prove everybody wrong here. It's 2 back now. Ocelon throws this one towards the corner, marked by 8, deal with that one nicely, but immediately met by Ocelon. The pass out, nobody home. Burrito B not able to get there, and ARG feeling a lot more pressure on defense, but maybe not as much, or not too much, where they can't give up a goal. GCR actually gives that one away to Burrito B. Maybe the second touch absolutely puts it away. Method up by 1.
They finally get that first goal of the series, and it's a solo play. None other than Burrito B. They're all capable of making these kinds of shots. An excellent read off of that top corner, and, you know, wasn't a passing play, wasn't necessarily the cleanest, but he had a good opportunity, and he took it. A good start.
So for Method, they get on the board. It's their first goal of the series. Took them a few minutes, but they finally find the back of the net. Now can they hang on and build upon their lead? ARG trying to respond back promptly here as marked by 8, just going by everybody. But eventually gives the ball away. Ocelon sees the pass and pushes it downfield. Rick's Ronde not able to get the touch there. Now Burrito B, he's got Rick's Ronde at the top of the box, tries to give it back to him. Still a dangerous ball. Ocelon maybe a second touch off the back wall. Turned away by Mark by 8.
And for the first time in a while, it seems, we're seeing Method players starting to back each other up. Ocelon getting up for that ball. Obviously, he didn't have anybody immediately in the midfield, but it got cleared away. So, you know, it's kind of splitting hairs at that point. But it's nice to see they're starting to keep the ball more solidly on the offensive end, which actually has been a theme most of the game. ARG haven't had too many opportunities of their own at all.
Burrito B met by 2 ARG players. It's Mark by 8 and Clayx. Mark by 8's going to take it himself. He gets 2 to go from Method. Maybe an opportunity, some space opening up for ARG, but immediately back in rotation. Burrito B gets there. Still pressing on is ARG. Here comes GCR. He's got Mark by 8 at the top of the box, cleared away by Ocelon. Now it's a breakout for Rix Ronde. The pass down, he's got a player on the box. It's Burrito B who finds the back of the net, and Method go up by 2 with 35 seconds left.
And that decision there by Clayx really kind of defined the play. He wanted to go for that 50-50. If he had read it right, that could have been moving the other way, but Rix Ronde played that one perfectly. You can finally tell that Method are starting to find their rhythm. In the first half of this game, we saw a lot of unrequited passes. You see a lot of plays coming down in the midfield, nobody's there. This time around, not that way. A great need by Burrito B and Rix Ronde on the pass, and now another one coming through. Shot from Burrito B will find its way across the goal line, a 3-0 lead.
And it's just back to the basics for Method, getting control of the ball in the final third, finding the back wall uncontested, and having someone coming through and putting it away. Method find 3 goals in a flurry here, and ARG are in the hole.
And a hat trick for Burrito B as well. We should mention 2 of those assisted by Rix Ronde. They're finally getting into their rhythm, as I mentioned. Ocelon still kind of quiet in this series, but you know, as long as you get the win, I'm not sure if these players really care so much about how they're doing personally. You know, that's just the way it is.
A win is a win. And for Method, they will go on to take game number 2 here, and it does feel like the series that we just saw between Veloce and Vikings, where one team does well and then another comes through and makes some changes, and all of a sudden they take a game. So a 1-1 series here between Method and ARG, and now we're on ARG's behind and say, what's going on with them? They lose now 3-0, so it's 2 3-0 shutouts for both teams. And ARG were reduced to 2 shots to the 9 that they had in the game before, and it just feels like that they could get nothing going.
So it's the same ratio of shots as well. Method with 6 shots, ARG with 2. ARG had 9 shots, Method had 3. This is going to be like the comeback story for Method, where it was basically, okay, guys, we were screwing around in the first game. It's no big deal. We were joking. It's just a prank. There's the camera.
We all got pranked.
We all got pranked. I don't know.
Well, so for Method, though, I think that the passing plays across the box definitely came through a lot more. They looked a lot more organized on offense. They still looked a little shaky on defense, but for ARG, I think for them, it's about creating a lot more of your own chances. We didn't really see much. We saw a couple plays in the corner. Mark by 8 was doing a lot, but then his last touch, he would just give the ball away, kind of flailing out to push it to the top of the box for a teammate. So Method, again, showing some consistencies of just playing this kind of mediocre Rocket League throughout, and then they turn it on when things click, but it's really not really too bad, and it's really not too good. We're just kind of seeing Method go about their game.
Yeah, it does seem that way a little bit, and I have to say, you could see the improvement from Method as that game went on. We had, you know, the first half was kind of like, okay, we're seeing a lot of passes that aren't really going to anyone. The second half was, we're seeing a lot of passes, and they're going to people. Transitional plays included, and they shut out ARG. And I have to wonder now, was ARG just getting complacent with their situation? Did they not play as strongly that game because they thought they were going to get an easy win, or did Method just really outplay them? And GCR says, well, I don't think Method outplayed us that badly. I think we're going to take the lead.
And they just respond immediately off the kickoff. A lot of time and space was given by Ocelon to Mark by 8 to catch up to that ball, and GCR, good positioning from him just to be ready in case it came across, and it did. ARG find the back of the net early.
Well, for Method, at least it wasn't with 8 seconds left on the clock. It's only 8 seconds off of the clock. So there's plenty of time to come back, but I want to know how this game changes, because every games 1 and 2 are both shutouts. So will Method be responding to this one?
Method want to find a goal early to tie this one back up. Rix Ronde. Now Burrito B pushes it past one. Rix Ronde tries to get the touch off the sidewall, and it can't. Here's Burrito B over to Ocelon. Now Rix Ronde goes. Everybody up from Method. Burrito B just sitting back, waiting for ARG to come. Burrito B once again gathering, but not keeping the ball here in the midfield. Rix Ronde forced to go up. Ocelon went as well, using a little bit of his boost, but able to get a nice clear out to the ARG side. So a bit of a stalemate after the first early goal. Shot still coming on from ARG, but nothing to be too scared of for Method. And ARG doing a good job of just not letting Method out. 2 go once again for Method. Small double commits coming out from Method, but really nothing punishable by ARG right now.
And they are double committing. You know, it's always bad to double commit. Well, I guess it's not always bad, but at least we're seeing that semblance of, you know, more players are willing to go up for the ball. We're not seeing cold feet on the side of Method. So will that change the game as we move forward is the question that I really have. Good passing opportunity here. Rix, oh no, the crossbar and away.
4th defender coming out for ARG here. Burrito B popping this one up over Mark by 8. Everybody's up for ARG, and only GCR gets a slight touch on it. Here's Burrito B. Rix Ronde is there. He always seems to be in the mix for Method. Not able to get the touch at that point. Ocelon keeping the attack on, but it slowly fizzles out, and ARG get a welcomed clear as they had given up quite a bit of space. Ocelon, full boost. A pass over to Burrito B, down to Rix Ronde. A free ball for Mark by 8, looking for the backboard now. Ocelon's got to get up for this one. He does. ARG have a lot of time and space to work with now. ClayX opts to go to the corner, and Rix Ronde, there to meet it.
And at the half now for Method, we've seen a couple of opportunities trying to go the other way. ARG was able to respond to it in their part, paying their dues on defense rather easily. Oh, Ocelon, I like what I'm seeing out of that one. Starting to get a little bit aggressive with the solo plays, but no dice.
And ARG able to get down the field. ClayX lofts one across the box there, but no ARG player there to meet it. Here's Mark by 8. No boost to his name. Rix Ronde. A poor clear out. ClayX, again, no boost to his name either. ARG, they got possession in the final third, but they got no boost to act on. And dunked away by Rix Ronde. Maybe an opportunity here for Method. A slight touch thwarts that one for Method. And now with 1 minute and 40 seconds left, Method still scoreless in this game. They've got 2 shots, but just haven't been able to convert.
And it really feels like that might be on the back of ARG because they've had some solid backboard defense and just solid defense overall. I don't really think there's any other way to phrase that. They really thought about the last game. They said, okay, we might have given them a little bit too much space. Let's make sure that we close the gap every time they're in the offensive third. And so far, they've been doing a great job.
Time slowly becoming a factor here for Method. Great pass out to GCR. The time and space that he has, maybe a little bit too much for Method's liking. Rix Ronde. That was a clear straight to GCR. ClayX is up for this one, trying to knock it down. Instead, he clears it for Method. 2 go once again for Method, but another double commit that's not really punishable as they do get a good clear from it. ClayX trying to prevent the Method onslaught here from happening, and they do. Ocelon on the back wall, forced to make that touch. He was the last one back. Coming up on 30 seconds left now for Method. They really haven't shown any offense in the last minute or so.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of deferential gameplay from ARG. When Ocelon was on the back wall there just a moment ago, nobody on the orange side was going. They realized that Ocelon was forced to make a play. They didn't really have to push that one too hard to keep it in the offensive half, and that's really where it's remaining right now. Great touch, though, from Burrito B, finding the corner.
Mark by 8. Trying to clear this one away with 15 seconds left. Method, it could be their last opportunity, and it's given away over the top of the Method goal. Burrito B's got to make the save. He can't, but it goes off the crossbar from the shot from GCR. Mark by 8 has an opportunity to put this game away. Method might do it all on their own. It's still up. Can they get to it? No. The pinch too hard, and ARG take game number 3 in a close 1-0 win.
And again, a shutout. But I have to say, you know, Method, they didn't have a lot of redeeming factors in this one. They, of course, got a little bit of offense, but not even close to what ARG had. What I will say is even at the very end, I saw Ocelon looking for his teammate. There was a bump on the field as well in favor of Method. So even at that 0-second mark, they're still keeping a level head. So that's at least one really good thing. That, you know, you got to be able to keep that cool mentality even in the clutch situations. So when they're looking for those passing plays, they realize they have the potential to move downfield. They're recognizing that, hey, guys, we haven't had a lot of offense, but that doesn't mean we're just going to give up and, you know, let them take game 3 that easily.
So the thing about Method that is very strange to me is they came into this week 1-1. They lost one game, they won one game. And they have a -5 goal differential, now -6 as they give up one goal here. And they went 3-3 in the last 2 games. So for Method, they have a -6 goal differential at this point. So they're not really outscoring their opponents too much. And you're kind of seeing that in this series. It's like when they score the goals, then they don't really let anything in. But when they don't score, they just let all the goals in. And so they got to win with a -5 goal differential. Tells me that Method is struggling on offense. And while I have said that they play kind of consistently throughout a series, they're not converting that into goals. And that's exactly what we saw in the last game in particular.
So now, the question that I have, are we just going to see another shutout here? Because it was a 1-0 shutout, and granted that, of course, that's close. It's still a shutout. That doesn't change that fact. And ARG looking to close it out here. They looked pretty strong, but honestly, Method, we've been seeing a lot of, signs of, hey, we want to get these passing plays started up. It just feels like, they got all the puzzle pieces, but they don't know where to put them yet. They're just trying to put them in the wrong spots.
So we'll see if Method can make the change against ARG in game number 4, or will they drop a series to ARG in a much-needed win for ARG. GCR on the back wall looking for that play across. Goes behind him in the end. And already we're seeing pressure coming down. Ocelon turned away by the ARG defense. Now ARG on the attack. A shot comes out off the back wall. GCR waiting patiently for this one to come to him, and it does. Maybe in one more opportunity. Burrito B jumps on top of it. Rix Ronde now looking for the pass for Ocelon. It never comes. And slow play coming out from Method, met by the speed of ARG. The transition downfield, and just like that, Mark by 8 finds the back of the net.
I love having faith in this pass from Clicks because he recognizes there's a player on the backboard, but I know that my teammate is going to be able to get it around. And Burrito B just barely not enough boost to get it, but great placement, getting it off the top corner. Just enough so that it moves into center for Mark Bay to be able to make the shot. Quality passing play all around.
So Mark gets back on the board, and it's the first time we've seen him. He came into this series with 100% goal participation. That is no longer. Rix Ronde. Now Burrito B, a second touch. Cleared away by GCR. So Method find themselves on match point, down by 1 goal. 3.5 minutes left here in game number 4. Mark by 8, threatening. Ocelon forced to go up for that one. Another double commit comes out from Method. We've been talking about a lot of panic defense. Does come down to positioning and the trust in your teammates. And of course, communication. Mark by 8. Not able to get to that one, but ARG really putting on the pressure here. As Method finally get out of their own end. ClayX met it in the corner here. Now Burrito B. Ocelon. Pass back to Rix Ronde, but really not going anywhere from Method. They have possession the final third. They have a couple passes here and there, and they're keeping the ball, but there's no shot at the end of the play.
I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. They got a bunch of puzzle pieces, and they don't know where they go quite yet. And ARG, I mean, we've seen a couple of opportunities for them on the offensive end that, maybe shouldn't have been. A great pass here and a great save by Mark by 8 to send that one away. Method remain on the offensive end, but only for a second. It's cleared straight down the other way.
Method looking for their first quality opportunity here in game number 4. It feels like that they haven't had too many. Ocelon looking from the pass, but broken up by ARG. Now ClayX trying to go onto the dribble. Burrito B now, no boost to his name, and he can't get to the ball. Still Method keeping this one on. ARG, another great clear out of their own end, buying themselves so much time, forcing Method to go on the back foot.
And remember, this has been a series of all shutouts, and ARG going to try and keep adding to their score line right here. Now Method, would have been a challenge to score that first goal. As we mentioned, they have trouble scoring when they have nothing on the board and they're down. But now it's going to be an even tougher challenge, compounded on top of that.
Well, if there's a time to do it for Method, the time is now in game 4 when backs against the wall down by 2. You got 2 minutes, or just under 2 minutes, to make it happen. But still, ARG charges on. A relentless attack that we've seen throughout the series. And aside from game 2 where ARG were shut out, they have really put on the pressure.
And think about that, that's 3 goals over this entire series so far. 3 goals over 3 games, and potentially 4 if Method can't pull this one out. Final 90 seconds now, and ARG looking incredibly solid.
This one off the back wall, Ocelon looking for Rick's Ronde. It's another good passing play from Method, but leads to nothing as the ball just given up across the, or above the net, excuse me. Here's Burrito B. Mark by 8 into the Method corner. Burrito B just trying to prevent an ARG player from receiving it in the midfield, but he just gives it back up to the last defender. Great clear coming out from Rick's Ronde. A little bit of breathing room now for Method and maybe a chance to control the midfield. It's given up by Clayx. Method on the attack. If they want to score, they got to do it here soon. And then get another one as Mark by 8. Great touch from him. Slow down that attack from Method. Ocelon actually gets it through. It's GCR, though, who's going to be able to get in front of that one and push it to the corner. Burrito B might have a chance here. Less than 30 seconds left for Method. Still scoreless. Ocelon. Everybody in front of the net for ARG. Can Burrito B knock it down? He opts to go for the back wall. And Ocelon can't get up. 15 seconds left, and things are not looking good for Method. They really just want to score with time left at this point. Everybody commits on that play from ARG, and you can start to sense the panic coming out from Method when they know they're on defense. Time's ticking down. That is going to do it. ARG are going to shut out once again Method and take the series 3-1.
And as I mentioned, the Method not even with a goal per game in this series. This is not the showing you want to have. And a good job for ARG. First win of the Rivals series. They made a spectacular performance, and I don't think we can take that away from them. But in terms of Method, not exactly the strongest performance we've ever seen from them.
Yeah, step one is done for ARG. They come out and they take down Method. That they had to. They had to take down Method here, because if they lose to Method and you go and you play Veloce and Complexity, those teams are shaping up to be top 2 contenders here in the European Rival Series, and you don't want to drop any other games except for maybe those. Or some might say acceptable losses here at this point. So for ARG, step one is complete. Now you got to go and take on Veloce and Complexity and see how you fare. On the other side of things, for Method, a 1-2 record now. Things are looking bleak for them. That was not a good series by any means. Even for game number 2, yeah, you shut them out 3-0, but if that's all you can muster up in a 4-game series, then offense not looking too hot.
And you mentioned their goal differential earlier as well. That's just going to keep going down if they continue on this path. They're 1-2, and now, as I mentioned before the match even started, they've matched their losses from the last Rivals series in just the first 2 weeks, which is definitely a little bit of a kind of getting them down in the dumps moment. But as I mentioned, hopefully they keep a good mentality about it, and they can still come back from this one. You mentioned ARG now moving to 1-1 with a huge couple of matches coming right up. Their top 4 contention will be on the line this week and next if they can perform, but I have a lot of faith, and especially taking momentum out of this game, they got to be thinking to themselves, hey, Method didn't exactly play the best we've ever seen them, but at the same time, it's a 3-1 victory, and we shut them out in those 3 games that we won.
Well, you talk about top 4 contention. Our next matchup will be 2 teams that are vying for top 4 and top 2. It's Complexity and Veloce facing off next. Stay with us.
The scrappy team representing Spain are able to take down their opponents over at Method. Welcome back to week 2 of Rival Series. I'm Lauren, made a change on the desk here. Subi, Stacks, how you guys doing?
Oh, it's great to be back for week 2 and seeing a lot of these teams for the second time, and finally seeing some teams for the first time here in the Vikings and the Rightovers.
Yeah, we definitely can say that this is the closest season of Rival Series for the European region that we've had so far. Every single team has the ability to take those first and second spots.
Playing good just doesn't seem to cut it anymore here at Rival Series. We saw a solid performance out of Method, but it just wasn't able to measure up to what ARG brings to the table. To me, it seemed like they were playing with an overall lack of urgency.
Yeah, it really did. It just seemed like they felt like they had more games to work things out, and ultimately it came down to not enough time for them. And at the end of the day, you need to make sure you show up for every single match, and you can't take a game off.
Yeah, any bad day at all. Of course, this team that we're going to see here, Veloce, they know exactly what one bad day can do to you. But, any of these teams, they're getting a very harsh lesson right now. And for Method, Corelli mentioned it. A team that's lost 3 matches has never made it to the top 2. So now for Method, if they don't have a sense of urgency, they need it now for the rest of the season.
Method has one more match ahead of them, 2 off stream, so this is going to be a big day for sure. But the next match, personally, it might be my favorite of the entire day. Complexity taking on a solid squad. It is going to be insane. Flakes, definitely one of the strongest players, just jump into the overall Rival Series and say, like, hey, I can definitely bring things to the table. I can add this new dynamic. But the other side, Veloce eSports, we saw them earlier today. Niels Cook.
Niels Cook.
Nailed it.
Close enough, it's all good.
Hey, you're going to get plenty of practice saying his name by the end of this series.
I think both Flakes and Niels Cook is going to have a really good performance. I want to see who comes out on top.
I definitely agree. We have 2 undefeated teams going up against one another. And in my opinion, Flakes is making a very strong argument for being Rookie of the Season. He is just putting on an incredible performance. And when it comes to rating in the Rival Series, he has himself in that #1 spot in the European region.
Yeah, Flakes has been phenomenal, and you don't have to search social media very hard to find a lot of people saying that this Complexity team is an RLCS team that's stuck in the Rival Series, and that may well be the case, but you do have to play the games for a reason, and you're going to go up against a team like Veloce here that is very capable of competing for one of those spots, and a loss here brings them that much closer to everybody else in the league.
Complexity definitely has attacked the concept of a redemption run. They're definitely going to have a strong performance here. But in terms of predictions, Subi, who do you think is going to take this best of 5?
This is a very difficult one, especially after saying Veloce eSports just pull out that win. But regardless of all of that, they have the number one and number 2 players on Complexity. And for those reasons, I have to go with them in this match.
Yeah, Complexity, they've got to be my pick too. Again, they looked phenomenal in week 1. This is, let's face it, a brutal schedule for Veloce. And I think, they're eventually going to wear down. I do think that Complexity, especially with Flakes, Rookie of the Season, he may be the MVP when all is said and done.
This is definitely a bump in the road in the overall terms of a gauntlet for Veloce. For me, I also am going to have to go for Complexity. Flakes in particular just impressed me. To be able to come into this team that had a lot of expectations for themselves and say, hey, not only can I be a solid addition, but I can go ahead and carry the whole team in some games. So I definitely think we're going to see that momentum continue. Veloce eSports has a tall order ahead of them against Complexity. With no further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, this Veloce team, of course, they do really have a lot of work to do against Complexity. We saw what they looked like in week number 1, both sides, and Veloce looked shaky at times, whereas Complexity, they swept both of their matches.
Yeah, and for me, this has to be a battle between Magnus and Freaky. Whoever steps up between the 2 of them could ultimately pull their team to this victory.
And, you want to talk about the subject of motivation here. Let me throw out some dates here. Flame, October 29th, 2017. Niels Cook, May 6th of last year. Freaky, June 9th of last year. That's the last time any of these guys were in the RLCS. This is their hurdle that they have to overcome here today. 3 matches. This is the second of 3 that really are all must-wins for Veloce. If they want to avoid finishing 5-2 yet again and leaving their fate in the hands of others like they have in seasons past. Greasymeister, his shot missing just high as Complexity gets the first opportunity of this big-time match between COL and Veloce.
Oh, and I love opening up with a demo to start this game. Magnus taking Freaky out, knowing that he is that defensive stranglehold on that back end.
This will pop up for Flame to take right down the middle of the field, and right there to meet him is Flakes. We've talked a lot about him, and we'll keep talking about him until he gives us a reason not to, and I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. Niels Cook over in the general direction of Flame, who can't quite catch up to that ball. Didn't steal any boost either from the blue zone, and that allows Complexity to come downfield on the attack. Flakes from above. His shot denied by Freaky. Flame with another block out front. This is still loose, and Flakes will miss well high and wide and cannot get this down in front. Maybe Magnus can. Greasymeister coming on, can't get the angle. Magnus will try. Flakes again. They continue to pepper the backboard, but no shots on net out of that whole exchange. He's got maybe one.
And look how quick they are to challenge these balls. There is absolutely no vacillation on the end of Complexity, just putting a ton of pressure. And a shot from Niels Cook turned away by Magnus over to Greasy.
Greasy, good pass, but nobody there on the other end of it, so how good was it really? Flakes looking for that midfield boost. It's not there, so he just has to bomb this towards the backboard, and that'll force him to reset. Magnus waiting for a pass from Greasy. It's not going to get there. Freaky way up the backboard already, and back to the drawing board goes Complexity, and now Veloce can try to get something going on the offensive end. Flame will throw one up to the wall. Nothing doing as Magnus intercepts, but now a little miscommunication between Magnus and Flakes, and that little hesitation we saw at times in that first series Veloce had. Even a half second of hesitation was enough to give the Vikings an opening that they took advantage of. Now we're seeing Veloce take advantage of those from Complexity. Freaky over Magnus. Flakes is there to back the play up. Greasy rotating in behind him. And he will not need to stop a shot from Niels Cook because he hesitated. And he who hesitates, of course, in Rocket League is very lost.
Yeah, and you saw Niels Cook push up a little too much, pass off the backboard to Flakes, and just off the post, a little too wide. But look at the pressure on the ball from Complexity, continuing to put shot after shot onto the net.
Veloce, for all their success, came into this week with a -8 shot differential. They made a ton of saves in week number 1. Of course, that means you're giving the offense a lot of time in the zone. That's something Complexity will eventually cash in on, and the Rookie of the Year strikes here.
And look at him going off the backboard, the pass to himself, and somehow finds the angle to go underneath the crossbar. Flakes putting the first one on the board for Complexity.
Did go in off an orange car down below, but still quite the effort from Flakes. An unassisted goal is the only difference here between these two teams in game 1. Only a minute 40 to work with. Freaky looking to carry this through, and he's met by Flakes, doing it on both ends. Niels Cook for Flame, and his not able to get there in time. Magnus with the clear. And now here's Complexity trying to salt this game away in the final 90 seconds. Niels Cook, Freaky thought about coming in. Niels Cook wins the challenge, and the dunk master ties the game.
And he just continues with his boost to follow through this ball. Magnus goes up, Niels Cook holds the boost down, pushes that ball into the net, and we're all tied up near 1 minute to go, Stacks. Kind of odd that we haven't seen any offense other than that come out from Veloce eSports.
Watching that previous match with Vikings, we were really commenting on the passing of Veloce, and what have we seen so far in this series? A pair of solo goals. Magnus looking for a solo effort of his own, but that's denied by Niels Cook. So now Flakes will try, cascading down, and that's blocked by Freaky.
Oh, and they continue to assault the net. A little bit of a double
commit.
Here the ball goes, no defense is there, and Magnus capitalizes on the mistake from Complexity. Veloce.
Yeah. Yes, from Veloce as Freaky and Flame on the double commit there. Just a little bit of hero ball. You have to trust your teammates. That time it didn't happen, and now Veloce finds themselves 52 seconds away from dropping game 1 to Complexity, a team who has not dropped a game this season yet. Here's Niels Cook. He's got something to say about it. What a pass for Freaky. Flame. Follow up from Freaky goes in, and we're right back to square one.
All tied up, and once again we have another goal off of a 50-50. A great job from Veloce eSports right now to keep the pressure on Complexity, just keeping this game as close-knit as possible.
Veloce has been battle-tested already today, a classic 5-gamer with Vikings, and they're coming right down to the wire in game one with perhaps the front runners in Complexity. Niels Cook not able to center this ball. Flakes, that is going to get away from him, and the race of the ball in midfield won by Niels Cook. Freaky to center again, but nobody's home. 15 seconds remaining. Flame not able to get to this ball. Niels Cook does, one-on-one against Flakes. He's gonna slow play, got this ball out in front, but Greasy Meister sends this away. Overtime is looming if this ball touches down, and Flakes is going to make sure that happens. Overtime in game one.
Yeah, smart play there, realizing the ball's in his own end. They down a man, and he places that ball straight down to the ground. And look at them opening up already with offense going off the backboard. Greasy puts a shot on, but Flame gives them a little bit of breathing room.
And Freaky was there just in case. Now he's going to be called on to stop Flakes.
Uh-oh.
And he doesn't get rid of this ball, and Greasy Meister slams it home. Still undefeated, our Complexity.
And look at the flip from Flakes to make Freaky go up for that ball. An uncharacteristic slip up in the defensive end from him. And once again, Complexity capitalizing on the mistakes from Veloce eSports.
They averaged almost 5.3 saves per game in week one. They have 4 saves on the 9 shots that they faced to Veloce. And finally, they broke at the end. Complexity gets that overtime goal. And now, 7 games down, 7 W's in the games column. Complexity continue to roll on after game one.
Yeah, and Complexity, all 3 members of the team getting a goal, everyone contributing. Didn't feel like you had one standout amongst all of them. But oddly enough for me, Veloce eSports went away from the offense that we saw earlier from them, where they were going with great passing plays, opening up the field, and I've got a question. Why are they going away from that? Is it the defense of Complexity, or are they trying out something new to throw off the defense?
It does feel like Complexity's moving around the field a little bit quicker than the Vikings were in that first match, but you're right. I'd love to see some of that passing come out again from Veloce. We know it's there, and really, especially for Niels Cook, this is the best team he's ever had around him.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see him utilize those teammates in this big match here.
Well, and also, Niels Cook is now untethered. Prior to this season, he's always had a leash put on him. He's always had the reins pulled back, just holding him back from greatness. And now we're seeing what he's truly capable of, but they're down 1 game. They have to fix a lot going up against this Complexity team because there were 2 easy mistakes that they could have really just not allowed goals to go in the back of the net.
Greasy Meister has to scramble to the back wall to stop an early effort here from Veloce. And here comes Complexity. Again, yet to drop a game in 2 matches and now 1 extra game. Flakes thought about chasing this down, but Flame way up before anybody else. And he'll track this down. Greasy Meister just plays it away. And now Magnus going in behind, or rather Magnus in behind Greasy to make that clear. That shot going behind Greasy there. Good placement, if not for all 3 members of Complexity being at the net.
Yeah, just great rotation from them in the defensive zone. You saw the great save put on the board by Greasy, but that put him out of position for that backside post. Magnus realized it, rotated in to cover up every part of that net.
Greasy Meister trying to control this ball out of his own back line. Flakes, no challenge from anybody as everybody from Veloce on their way back. Double commit. Punished by Greasy. No, it's off the crossbar. Follow-up is set away by Flame.
But it was a great shot put on the board by him. He realized all the defenders had just come back down to the ground. He's going to put that shot right back up high and test the reflexes of Complexity.
Greasy there to meet Niels Cook's effort. And now Flame just banking one off the ceiling, throwing it in a general direction. Nobody else upfield. It really does feel like Veloce is intentionally playing a very defensive game. That drop down pass finds Freaky, but his shot is way too high. And a missed opportunity there, but that's the passing we're looking for from Veloce. They need to capitalize on those opportunities.
Hey, that was a great idea. I love those drop-down passes, but unfortunately it was put a little too far behind the offensive player, and a good clear downfield from Freaky, trying to hit Flame, but it was seen by the defense, and the angle almost hit by Magnus.
Boy, that's a great job switching fields by Complexity as well. They go left, right, and back to the left. Not able to convert, but it keeps the defense really stuck at home and almost lets the offense do whatever they want to with the ball. That time they don't find the net. Coming up on halftime. Greasymeister trying to control, but Freaky there to dispossess him. Niels Cook not able to get there in front of Greasymeister. And now it's Flakes and Magnus working downfield. Just Flakes to make the shot and Flame to make the save.
Yeah, good challenge there by Freaky, forcing Flakes to make a play with that ball, and unfortunately the shot just goes off of net. But how about this offense from Complexity? Every time they have an opportunity, they're putting a shot on net.
And that may be why Veloce is playing a very defensive game. They're respecting their opponents quite a bit, but Freaky coming up onto basically an empty net. He will strike true, and Veloce has the lead.
And just look at the midfield presence from Freaky. He smells that ball is going to be wide open, just puts that shot on an open net. And Veloce eSports with the lead just at about halftime.
I think Flakes got hit on his way up to that challenge. That may have made the difference. Flame going around Greasymeister, trying to leave one. It'll be Niels Cook who climbs the ladder, and Magnus there to make sure he doesn't have a clean shot. So Veloce has a lead, trying to do what nobody else has been able to do so far in the rival series. Very early on in the season, take a game off Complexity. Flakes now, met by Freaky. Not able to get this ball to the center, but Complexity haven't been able to clear up until this point. That's a miss from Niels Cook. It'll be punished every time by Magnus, and we're tied just like that.
And that's 3 easy goals that you've now given Complexity. You've got to wonder, have the mistakes been pulled back if they would have won game 1? And what would be the storyline in game number 2? But now we're all tied up. And Veloce eSports honestly have their work cut out for them.
Well, nobody said it was going to be easy, and now Veloce has to dig deep here. Flakes going up top, and Flame there to make sure there's no shot. Full tank of boost for Flame, but that little hesitation where he took the boost allows this ball to be sent deep into the zone. He is still downfield, though, and that shot's going to go over everybody. Just barely stopped by Greasy. Flame there for the rebound, and it's Veloce back in front.
Yeah, and speaking of rebounds, look at how this ball bounces off that back wall. Greasy gets denied by the post, just runs into it head first, and Flame sees that and puts that shot up high, finding himself an open net. And you gotta wonder, no double commits have been coming out from Veloce so far this game. Completely different play from game number 1.
Niels Cook with only 2 assists. Granted, he scored a ton of goals in the first week of action. He's got 2 assists in this series alone, utilizing his teammates. Here's Flame against Flakes. Greasymeister to tie again, upper 90.
And how about having a sense of urgency, realizing that it's under 1 minute of play. Flakes with a beautiful pass, and Greasymeister taking the only angle that's available to him and finding that upper 90.
They're just like an annoying endgame boss. They just won't die. Complexity comes back again. And now Flame beaten to that ball by Flakes, so Freaky has to send that away, and this time he does get it to the corner. Freaky over Magnus, taking his time. Got that midfield boost. What can he do with it? He's got Flame directly behind him. Boy, it's tough to get a pass to somebody directly behind you. Not good positioning there for Veloce in the closing seconds.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Flakes just barely missing an opportunity. That would have opened the doors a lot for Complexity, but now it's looking like overtime could be in the making yet again. Niels Cook not able to center. Now downfield is Greasymeister. He will not get this in front either, as Freaky lets Flame take this ball, and this will not touch down just yet. Flame will have a chance. Freaky had just about given up on the play, and he's not able to get there in time. We go to 2-2, overtime again, Subi.
Yeah, it's like Complexity are just picky eaters, and they don't want to acquire a taste of defeat. Have yet to drop a game in the rival series and doing whatever they can to hold on to that.
Yeah, just another boring game here on Friday at the rival series. Here is Flakes just watching that ball go over top.
Is today
not trying to
opposite
do
day?
too much of the play. Yeah, right. Flakes around the corner, blocked by Niels Cook. Freaky
Oh, there it
waiting
is.
way back at the net. Nobody's home for Complexity, and finally they've dropped a game. Veloce taking an OT.
Just what a poke downfield from Niels Cook. Sees Magnus out of position, and he cannot find an angle to get behind that ball. And Veloce eSports give Complexity their first L of the season.
Wow. And they had to earn it too, because every time they'd go ahead, Complexity would have an immediate answer, and sometimes it would be because of a big defensive miscue, like we saw with Niels Cook near the end of regulation. He makes up for it in a big way, scoring on the empty net, as Complexity is not able to get back. And now Niels Cook and this Veloce team, they have finally put a dent into Complexity.
Yeah, game number one, it just appeared that there was no offense coming out from Veloce eSports. They didn't score a goal until about 1:30 left in that game. Finally felt like they warmed up, they woke up, and now we have a match on our hands. Match of the day if you're watching the European region, and my oh my, it's a shootout so far, 2 overtimes.
Yeah, and really the keys to victory for Veloce, they sound simple when I say them, but you have to limit opportunities. They did in that game for the most part. Take advantage of the high-quality opportunities you get. They did. And you need to keep your composure. And that's always kind of been the question mark with this team going back to their team secret days. Can they keep their composure? They did here. They get a big overtime win after dropping game 1 in OT. And this coming off the heels of a long 5-game series earlier today.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is during that match, there was no one member of Veloce that wanted to be the hero. Everyone realizing that if they try to do that, try and make a play, it could put them out of position and allow Complexity to capitalize on that.
Well, we are underway in a tie-breaking third game. Winner on match point in a critical match here that'll be felt up and down the entire rival series standings as that ball cleared off the goal line by Niels Cook. Everybody very closely watching this match, perhaps to find out who they'll be chasing for the number 2 spot in the league. Because let's face it, the winner of this match could very well go on to run the table.
Absolutely. Complexity, if they take down Veloce eSports, they sit very nicely up at the number 1 seed. But Veloce trying to do anything they can to prevent that. But right now, you see Veloce in the offensive zone, and I love the defense from Flakes, pushing out of net. If you're trying to play against Veloce, there's no way you can have all 3 members sitting in net. You have to have someone in the midfield challenging that ball for those passes.
Good pass there from Flames to find Niels Cook, and Niels Cook trying to return the favor. But good defense from Complexity. Flame will try to chase this down, not able to catch up with that ball as it goes up the ceiling. And Freaky, good challenge there on Greasymeister to kill that play before it really gets started. Flame off of Flakes, a fortuitous bounce for Veloce. We'll see if they can take advantage. Magnus right in the general direction of Freaky, who can't catch up to it. He gets around Niels Cook as well, but there at the back is Flame to stop the play, and nobody really else came forward for Complexity. Now they're forward. It's Magnus, and I think he was thinking about maybe leaving that for Greasy, but he's all the way back. So no can do, and Greasy not able to get this ball forward like you would have liked.
Yeah, Complexity just not on the same page there. You saw Greasy rotating all the way back for boost. Magnus puts that ball forward, and now a rare double commit from Complexity, but somehow able to keep the ball in the offensive zone, and now they have numbers running down the field, but Niels Cook puts that into the corner, allowing Flame to boost up and clear this ball.
Niels Cook, I believe, in reverse to clear that ball off the line. It was dangerous times for Veloce, but we remain scoreless in game 3. Magnus for Flakes in the pass too strong.
Look at the bump.
Greasymeister, though, off that bump from Magnus, and Flame able to clear the ball away. Danger averted yet again by Veloce.
Yeah, and it looks like Complexity starting to get a little bit aggressive every time they're rotating through now. They're aiming for any player in the defensive zone to disrupt the flow of the rotations.
Greasy Meister under duress. Niels Cook got a piece of this ball, and Freaky trying to follow the play. Nobody will be able to. Magnus not able to go for this ball, and Flame shot goes right through the defense.
Oh, and what a shot from Flame. Absolute screamer, finding the back of the net. Magnus a little hesitant to challenge that ball, puts Greasy in a very precarious situation, and the shot goes right behind him into the back of the net. Veloce eSports seem to have figured out this Complexity squad.
Yeah, that was very awkward indeed for everybody on Complexity. You're used to seeing them just, somebody's going to go for that ball. Magnus just let it go right by. That could be very costly, not just in this match, but the season, because again, you only get one shot at each opponent. They find themselves trailing in the late stages of game 3. Greasy Meister out in front. Niels Cook lets it go by, and Freaky will have that ball away right at Flame, and a good counterattack stopped by Flakes.
Yeah, they're not done yet, though. Continuing to pepper that net. I'm loving the aggression we're seeing right now, but Flakes had a one-on-one scenario, just continues to keep this ball in the orange zone, and Greasy pushing up. No unchallenged ball at the moment for Complexity.
Good challenge by Flame there, just slow playing that ball. Niels Cook take it out of the play, so Freaky has to try and find an angle. He cannot. And now here comes Complexity. They've had quick answers to every goal they've given up so far, but this may be the longest they've waited. That shot's going to be high. Flakes going to chase. He'll take some boost instead. Good pass over in the general direction of Magnus, but Freaky read it well.
Yeah, but I love the boost management there from Freaky. A lot of players would have used all their boosts to try and get to that ball, putting them out of position, but he feathers it and is able to retain possession and clear this ball all the way down into Complexity's zone.
Greasy high off the wall for himself. Niels Cook trying to get a piece of Flakes. Good concentration to avoid Niels and make the clear. They need to get downfield, and they are not doing that. Another ball headed back to the blue side. Flakes now trying to make this play himself. Got around one, got around two. Tie game again.
Oh my goodness, Flakes putting on an absolute showcase. Pops this ball up. Nice little fake to get by one, and then just goes high and soft to put it under the crossbar. All tied up, 30 seconds to go. These teams just going back and forth, giving us overtime after overtime.
11 goals on the season now for Flakes. Look at this in front as Magnus almost broke the tie immediately, and finally Niels Cook hammers this away.
Oh, and how about that play from Niels Cook? No boost left, so he goes up the wall to be able to challenge that ball. Smart play from him, but less than 10 seconds to go in game number 3.
Niels sends this off to the other side. It was a double commit. Flame has to get to this ball. He does. Greasy's still down there running interference, and we'll have yet another overtime.
Well, if this was a pay-per-view match, you definitely got your money's worth.
It's going to be Flame. He's got Niels Cook waiting at the center. This goes over towards Flame again, and Flakes, as cool as you like, able to send this ball away, forces his way through Freaky. And now Flame looking for Niels, not able to find him. Complexity looking to reclaim the lead in this series, but Flame has other ideas. Oh, what a shot coming in from Niels from way up top. That's easily sent away. Now Flame over Freaky. It's off the backboard. Now the counterattack from Complexity. Niels Cook, as of course you'd expect him to be at the back. Good rotations for Veloce as we go towards the end of the first minute of OT.
I'm just watching the defense right now of Veloce. Their rotations are so crisp and so clean. They're not leaving any section of the goal open at all. Complexity is going to work hard if they're going to want to win this overtime.
I think Complexity has kind of identified a weakness here that they can exploit on Veloce. They're playing that ball off that angle of the ceiling where it drops straight down onto whoever's in front of the net quite a bit. They've gotten a couple goals from up there, especially that effort from Flakes back in game 1. This ball will be popped up to the side. And now Flakes
Smart
looking
hit.
to go around off the backboard, and Flame not just straight up off the ceiling, but at an angle, getting it way downfield. and giving his team just a brief respite. And maybe it's enough to spring the counterattack. Freaky through Flakes. Niels Cook blocked by Flakes again. Follow up from Flame, and Veloce steals it in OT.
Veloce capitalizing on the double commit, but what a touch from Flakes to give his team an extra opportunity. But in swoops Flame, making his mark in this game and putting Veloce eSports up 1 in the series.
All 3 games have gone to overtime. 2 of them now belong to Veloce. What an effort from Veloce as they, again, try to really establish themselves as one of the top 2 contenders. You look at their matchups this week. Vikings, Complexity. They get Method later on today on the Rival Esports B stream. Imagine if they come out of this at, what would they be? They'd be 5-0. They get 1 match week 3, 1 match week 4. They'd have all of week 5 off. Again, they could make their season right now, and really the sense of urgency, we talked about it with the previous match, it is showing for Veloce.
Oh, you have to. You absolutely have to, especially now that you're up 1 in the series. You need to make sure that you put everything on the line in this game. Don't try and take it to game 5. We know Complexity is able to pull those out. Just put everything into this match, and if you're on the side of Complexity, you've got a lot to figure out and not a lot of time to do it. 5 seconds left in this timeout in between games, and they've got to figure out a different offensive flow. It's been working for them against other teams, but Veloce is so fast to the ball, they just need to do something different.
Well, and, we talked about last week, we talked about the new players added to all of these teams. Flakes has absolutely shined. He needs to shine brighter for this Complexity team if they're going to come back from a 2-1 deficit and either at least force Game 5 or remain undefeated in matches on the season. A lot of work to be done as we get into Game 4. We saw an epic Game 4 on Neo Tokyo between the Vikings and Veloce before. Veloce had an opportunity to close out the Vikings. We'll see if they can close out Complexity this time around. It is Flakes, got the flip reset, but the save made by Freaky.
Oh, and I want to see those passes come out a little quicker. I know Magnus just had a simple mistake there, but he had an open teammate, and if those passes are hard and away from net, you're going to allow that shooter to have a lot of real estate to work with that net.
It's Magnus to send this downfield. Niels Cook didn't really get rid of that ball, but he's in the way of Greasy Meister's shot, and back downfield comes Veloce. Freaky off the backboard. Greasy couldn't catch up with this, but he's not really under fire, and he gets the double touch on the sidewall that he needed to get around Niels Cook. Now Flakes. Magnus waiting way at the back. He's got to retreat to save this from Niels. He does, but now Veloce on the attack. They're like a shark. They are smelling blood, and they are attacking. Here's Freaky. Needs a double touch, and said he's falling way away. And Greasy gets the save, but there's a blistering blast that challenges the defense, and Flame puts the net on fire.
Oh, and Veloce eSports is on fire right now. The shot just going directly into that upper 90. I love the way that they're working left to right to make Complexity have to rotate all the way around in their zone, getting them twisted up and dizzy, not knowing when a shot's coming on board.
Man, that was a blast from Flame. His 4th goal of the series. Magnus trying to answer back. He's not able to, and here's the man of the hour. Flame on the counterattack, met by Greasy. Freaky now, that's going to roll out towards Niels, and Flake's able to make a quick recovery. Magnus can't control Complexity. They do seem like they're trying to move downfield a little slower, and Veloce is not letting them have that time at all. Now they have numbers, though, and they can't take advantage as Complexity are forced back deep into their own zone.
Honestly, though, I don't blame them. We saw Flakes with the 1v1. He took down 2 defenders and was able to score. They're trying to slow that ball up, get it on their hood so they can flick it left, flick it right, or just dump it up in the air and let someone try and freestyle that ball into the net. But we're nearing halftime, and look at the shot coming out from Flames. I want to see more of that from Complexity.
Well, you've got 2.5 minutes to see it. Otherwise, this series will be over. Flame not able to get that last touch he needed, and the lead remains only one. Flakes has gotten around one again. He's gotten around two, but there's Freaky. And wants a counterattack. Flame not able to control this ball. Freaky up top. Here's Niels Cook, and he's blocked by Flakes yet again. Flakes, just a desperation save.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. He just hoped and prayed to get that save. Time dwindling down for them. They have gotten the right idea of to put those hard shots on net, just unable to find the back of the net as the defense from Veloce eSports is just on lockdown right now.
Flame trying to center for Niels Cook. He's going to take this himself. He is, and he does!
Oh my goodness! Flame with an absolute dunk of the century goes up, decides to take it himself, and says, thank you very much, Flakes. How about we put an exclamation point on game number 4?
Hey, welcome to the Rival Series, rookie. What a goal from Flame. It's a big one. The biggest of the season so far for Veloce. It puts him up 2 on Complexity. And now Flame, they're just being a pest at midfield yet again. That Complexity has to deal with. Freaky trying to force his way through. Magnus wins that challenge. His shot goes just wide off the challenge.
Oh, and they're starting to push up in the offensive zone. Did you see that? Hard clears are going to be the key for Veloce eSports right now. Just boom them downfield.
Make them go the length of the field as Niels goes right through Greasymeister, steals their boost as well, but that still leaves Flakes and Magnus, and the defense of Niels able to recover and make the clear. Who's going to take this ball? It's a little hesitation, lack of communication, and now things are falling apart right now for Complexity, an absolute mess that Magnus cleans up.
Oh, but they've got numbers now. Greasy had a wide open Magnus on the right-hand side of the field. Flakes gonna try and do it himself. Less than a minute to go. They need to score, and they need to score fast.
Well, that flip reset didn't work, and Greasymeister has to retreat to stop an effort from Niels Cook. Not sure exactly what that was from Greasy, but after he missed the ball, you might as well go after the nearest guy. It didn't work out in either case, and now Complexity finds themselves down to 30 seconds. Flame, Niels trying to keep this ball in the offensive end, kill as much time as they can. Freaky with brute force plays that one through, but now here comes Magnus, goes wide for the boost, doesn't really get the pass on the button. Flakes not able to control as well. Down to 10 seconds. Complexity need to score now if they're going to have a chance. Magnus, Greasy was trying to run interference. Niels avoided him, and that will do it. A clinical 4th game. This time Veloce cashes in. They close out Complexity, and now they have one match left in this gauntlet in week 2.
And talk about a 180-degree change from game 1 to the end of this series. It looked like a brand new Veloce eSports, just on the same page as one another. We didn't see double commits at all outside of game 1. We didn't see mistakes. Very rarely did we see them. They just played some phenomenal Rocket League today.
And really, all of these games were what you would have expected out of these players. You know, they averaged between 2 and 3 goals per game. They didn't give up many at all. They averaged, I think, 1 to 2 goals given up, made a ton of saves, and there was 5 or 6 saves per game. That's what it was every time. For Veloce and Complexity, they just ran out of gas. They just did not have an answer for, really, they didn't have an answer for Flame. I think he finished with 5 goals in that series. A phenomenal effort from Flame, and Veloce picks up a huge win.
Absolutely a huge win. I had to cross out on my notes here. They went from 3-0 to 4-0, just solidifying them in that first spot in the Rival Series. Absolutely phenomenal show put on by them, taking it to overtime, 3 out of 4 matches. What more could you ask for if you're wanting to watch good Rocket League?
And Veloce is not done either. They still have a match on the B stream coming up a little bit later where they will take on Method. So they'll run the gamut here against the other 3 teams that retain their spots in either the RLCS or the Rival Series. And again, if they come out of this at 5-0, wow, they've just about guaranteed themselves a spot in the promotion tournament. But coming up, we've got 2 teams that are also vying for one of those 2 spots in the promotion tournament. We wrap up the day with the Rightovers and the Vikings. It is Skyline returning to the Rival Series. He gets his shot at Mummy Snow and the Vikings coming up after this.
She found a way into my heart. Oh, oh, she don't make up, no, she make art. And I need a way to treat it, 'cause I keep getting high off of her. Off of her. I know that you'd be bad from the minute I saw you. But somehow I keep running, running back to you. Back to you. Back to long nights can get me feeling lonely. Hey. And hearing music that can make me smile. But the way I feel with her cannot be explained. But one thing still remains on my mind. I know that you'd be bad from the minute I saw you. But somehow I keep running, running back to you. Back to you. I know that you'd be bad, bad, bad. I know that you'd be bad, bad, bad. I know that you'd be bad, bad, bad. I know that you'd be bad.
Got wandering eyes that I seem to follow. Can only say
Welcome back to week 2 of the Rival Series. If you were looking for a hype matchup, Complexity and Veloce eSports said, we got you covered. Incredible offense, especially from Veloce. Nils Cook, I'll never say your name wrong again after that performance. But Flame, if he wasn't shooting a howitzer from the opposite side of the field, he was dunking on people from the top over the post. That was an insane offense.
It really was. He was the one I wanted to see step up for that team, and his offense was absolutely incredible in that matchup. But how about the defense from Freaky, just allowing Nils Cook and Flame to do whatever they want in the defense or in the offensive zone because he's sitting back covering net, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, they've really just got a good team composition, too. I mean, you've got 2 very defensive players in Freaky and Nils Cook, and the question really was, can they score? Can Flame score enough to give them a chance? He's gotten a lot of help, but I mean, he did a lot of it himself in that series. They have gotten what they needed, and as a result, they are now 4-0. With really the murderer's row of their season out of the way.
I think they definitely answer that question for you, Stacks. Going into that matchup, those 2 teams easily are considered some of the top 2. Complexity had a very strong performance last week. The question I have is, did Complexity just not play to the level that we may have expected, or did Veloce just manage to shut them down?
You know, I honestly think it was all Veloce there. We saw the play in Game 1, and they seem to have figured out Complexity. Their offense wasn't working at all, and defensively they were making simple mistakes. So for me, in that matchup, it has to be all on Veloce. Complexity just got picked apart.
Yeah, and we're not used to seeing that happen to Complexity. I mean, what we saw in Week 1, we thought that Flakes was going to take over like he did in that first week, and he tried to, but they just didn't let him. You know, it really was, I think, the defense of Veloce that really stifled and confused Complexity and really frustrated them at points. I think that showed, especially as they really started to fall apart in that last game.
It was impressive. If I'm one of the other teams, I'm looking at that and it's like, all right, maybe that's the blueprint to take down a team of the caliber of Complexity. But let's finish up the day strong. We'll be seeing the Rightovers. This will be our first time checking them out on stream. They'll be facing off against the Vikings, a team that's definitely looking to make some adjustments. Pondex in the squad, they have to show up in this match.
Yeah, and with Pondex, it's proving time for him as well because he was really, I think, kind of the head scratcher when we saw all these roster moves. And you say, okay, Pondex got picked up. Like Nils Cook, he's never really been, a guy who's had a great season. So this is Pondex's chance to break out, but it's also a chance for a guy like Bilbo or Calix to really make a name for themselves because over on the other side of the Rightovers, they have a very well-balanced team.
Yeah, but they also have Skyline on their team who has played with KDOP and iIgnite. So he knows what it takes to be a great player. He knows what it takes to be a great teammate. So I'm looking for him to lead the rookie and Calix who played last season. I'm looking for him to lead these guys to victory and show them what it takes to win in the Rival Series.
When you have that eclectic blend of experience with a veteran and a newcomer, a lot of interesting things can happen, and I think the Rightovers is going to look to try to make that magic happen. But in terms of overall predictions, the Vikings or the Rightovers, who do you think is going to take it?
Oh, this one's a tough one, especially for me, because we saw that the Vikings play very well against Veloce eSports. But with that said, I'm going to have to pick the Rightovers. We haven't seen them play this season yet, and I always love to see what the new guys can bring to the table.
Yeah, I got the Rightovers, and I'll tell you why. It's really simple. I've got a 20-goal scorer in Calix from last season. Skyline, who the last time we saw him, he was averaging 2 saves a game, which led the league by far in Season 5 of the Rival Series. And now Bilbo, who's eager to make a name for himself against a team that they didn't have a hat trick all of last season when they were Fnatic in the RLCS. Give me Rightovers.
For me, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go for the Vikings because I think they definitely need to perform here. They look over at Complexity, who just saw them lose, so it's like, all right, maybe this is our time to try to surge ahead and have our redemption run. I think they're going to make the adjustments, but there's really only one way to find out. The last match for Europe of the day, the Rightovers taking on the Vikings. Let's get into it.
We talked about motivation for the previous match with Veloce and how long it had been since some of those guys have been in the RLCS. Skyline's like, hey, what about me? He went 644 days between playing in the Season 2 World Championship to getting back into Season 6's league play. And now it's been something like, 180-something days, but it's only going to get longer as we get towards the promotion tournament. Skyline is a player who I absolutely feel is hungry to get back there. And, again, it's been so long just waiting for them to have their first match here, Subi. Now we finally get to see them. I think he's going to bring a lot of fire.
The most impressive stat in that whole thing was the fact that you can count that high. That's what's most impressive to me.
Yeah, I used Google. Trust me. I had to look up. Okay, so there are 3 digits here, and that means 100. And, that's where we are as we get into game number 1. Rocket League is a lot easier. You don't usually get more than like 5 goals in a game unless you're Tyler. As Calyx will open things up for the Rightovers, and the shot from Skyline just barely missing the mark. And we are underway. The Vikings, again, with this team being as a whole pretty well unknown, the Rightovers, Vikings have to know they are in for a fight on their hands here to close out week 2.
Yeah, and right out the gates, the Vikings just peppering that corner, trying to work it, going left to right now. Love to see that, and I love to see the demo from Maestro.
Skyline for himself, and he wins the challenge with Pondex. Maestro actually ran into Pondex as well, so here come the Rightovers. It's Calyx right down the middle. Bilbo trying to run interference on Pondex. Great concentration to clear this ball away, but it's right at Skyline.
And glad you brought Bilbo up. He gets that ball shot right over his head, and Mummy Snow with the first goal of this series, putting the Vikings up by 1.
Mummy Snow striking first. He had that one game back in the first match that they played where he only scored 82 points or something like that. And granted, that's game score. Take it for what it's worth. That game went to overtime. He came back, scored a goal very early on in the next game, and really established his presence in the remainder of that series with Veloce. And he has made himself known to the Rightovers here. Ooh. Big block there off the double commit between Mummy Snow and Pondex. And now a ball sent way downfield off the double kill.
Oh my goodness, a ton of aggression coming out from the Vikings right now. And my eye during game number 1 is going to be on Bilbo, but look at the shot from Skyline, catching Maestro off guard. Nice hard shot from midfield.
Well, we know him for his defense, and let's face it, he's never really been a scorer, but Skyline here going right over Maestro. And we are right back where we started just a minute and a half ago. And the kickoff going the other way here, Vikings with Pondex centering. The shot coming in, Bilbo barely made the save initially, and Pondex there to dunk it on the goal line.
Don't let them feel comfortable with that lead. Come right out and smack them in the face. Skyline gets an awkward touch on that ball, and a teammate is able to capitalize.
Maestro getting officially his second assist. And now let's see if the Rightovers can answer again. It was Skyline first, but now Maestro with Bilbo challenging, and Calyx to dump this ball back in. Got the full boost, but not able to take out Mummy Snow, but all 3 cars kind of crisscross there for the Vikings. And Bilbo back to make that save.
Yeah, good heads-up play from him, seeing that pass coming down across that dotted line, but they're not done. Pondex continuing to keep this ball in the blue half.
Now to be Skyline, trying to control this out from the sidewall. Didn't have a lot to work with, hasn't done a lot with it, but Calyx there to bail him out. And now Bilbo downfield. They have an advantage if they can get down to that ball in time, but Mummy Snow, good quick recovery on the rotation. And now here comes Maestro and the Vikings again.
That was actually a great pass from Calyx. Unfortunately, Skyline pushed up a little too far past midfield, so that pass went over his head. But they continue with their offensive onslaught. Maestro pushes this ball towards midfield, waiting for Bilbo, and look at that pass. Loving the vision we're seeing from him in this first matchup.
It'll be real fun watching Skyline against Mummy Snow. They were teammates back in the rival series with Servette. Skyline blocked by Pondex, but that ball finds Bilbo and Calyx. Now Bilbo off to the side, needs to center. He has, but Calyx can't get there in time. The defense of Maestro preserves the lead for the Vikings.
Yeah, but look at Pondex, nice hard pass. Didn't quite come all the way out near the top of box like he would have wanted. And Mummy Snow just continuing to put 50-50 after 50-50 on that ball, just keeping the Rightovers guessing.
Another one sent to the corner that Calyx will chase down. Pondex, can he find Mummy Snow with this ball? Yes, he can. The shot is going to be saved by Skyline. what he did all season long with Servette the last time we saw him, and not able to capitalize on a rebound opportunity was Pondex.
Yeah, Maestro had a great line on that ball, the angle to put that shot on target, but he swooped in. Communication seemed to be a little bit of an issue there, but they still retain this lead. They just would have liked to put another one on the board.
Mummy Snow could not take that corner boost from Bilbo. Will he be punished for it? No. Maestro with a big challenge. Down to the final minute of game one. Calix needs to clear this with 2 cars bearing down on him, and he does. Bilbo not able to get around Mummy Snow with only 45 seconds remaining. Calix denied by Pondex. Could not get a piece of Maestro. May have made him alter his defense just enough to keep the Rightovers on the attack, but Calix loses out on the challenge.
Just a little too far forward on that pass, able to break things up, and Maestro gets it by 1. He's got the open net, but can't quite slow it down. But he gets the pass to Mummy Snow, and they're continuing to pressure the net. 15 seconds to go. The Rightovers need to break out.
That's good patience there from Maestro. Realizing that they don't need that goal, but it would certainly be nice. We'll see if they get punished for not scoring what would have been the dagger in game one. Skyline has Bilbo in support. Welcome to the Rival Series tie game.
And talk about nerves of steel. The rookie stepping up in the last few moments of this game. Skyline puts it towards the box. Bilbo finds the hole in the defense and sends this game to overtime.
That is incredible. And we go to yet another overtime. Boy, if you love close matchups, you have certainly loved week 2 of the European Rival Series. Pondex waiting patiently. This time he does take the corner boost. The shot in from Maestro, stopped by Skyline. Mummy Snow needs to recover off the side. He whiffs it entirely. Bilbo for Calix, and the pass not there for Calix. And now Maestro intercepted by Skyline, but nobody to follow up on the rebound.
Oh my goodness, they have had 2 very close opportunities down the field. I love the idea that we're seeing come out from them, and Skyline looking for Calix. Calix looking for the net, and Bilbo hit Maestro into that ball.
Oh my goodness, not the way he drew it up at all, but Calix on the doorstep, and the Rightovers take game 1.
Oh my goodness, they're stepping up so big when they need to. Skyline with the 50-50, and Calix with the heads-up play, head on a swivel, sees that ball coming in, and getting them the W in the first match.
Subi, we always get the boring ones in the Rival Series, don't we? Unreal. What a game from the Rightovers. Big-time comeback. And yes, Maestro not converting on what was an open net at the tail end of regulation. It came back to haunt the Vikings in the worst way.
Oh my goodness. What an absolute stunner of a game. Just up and down, roller coaster of emotions, and Bilbo making a mark in that game and shooting the best in Rival Series history so far. 1 goal, 0 shots. So 1,000,000% shooting accuracy.
This guy, yeah, numbers nerd here. Hey, let's talk about Bilbo for a moment too, because he came so close to the Rival Series last season. Got to that final match there in the lower bracket, and they were beaten out by Calix and the Clappers, who then proceeded to not have much of a season. But Calix is back. Bilbo came back with Calix and Skyline. They're having, well, a great start to their season. They, unlike Complexity, are undefeated.
Hey, look at that. But yeah, Calix not wanting to go 1-6 again. And I don't think that they're going to. This team is looking fantastic. You can tell the nerves were there in the first minute, but after that, gone. Completely gone. So comfortable on the field, just playing up and down. Good offense, good defense. And then, oh my goodness, I cannot compliment Bilbo enough. The ability to keep that shot on target and not hit the ground. Holy smokes.
Well then, that is how you make a statement in your Rival Series debut. All right, rookie, let's see what you got for an encore. That ball's given away, and Maestro shots high. Follow up to the corner, and Pondex makes a statement early for the Vikings.
Yeah, that's one way to swing momentum. Get a goal in the first 10 seconds. They start out hot.
And so Pondex getting yet another goal. His second now for the Vikings in this series. Could be the second of many that they're going to need from him if they're going to take down this Rightovers team. As Maestro shots denied, Bilbo to clear out of the corner. Nobody else in support, so that clear had to be perfect, and it was. Now Maestro. Pondex thought about it and said he'll have to come back and rotate out. Mummy Snow.
Waterfall.
Waterfall, and it's Mummy Snow taking it himself.
And what a read to see that this ball is going to fall straight down, and then the ability to slow down just enough so he can squeeze that ball underneath the crossbar. Oh my goodness, the Vikings may have gotten a little mad at game number 1.
Yeah, we saw Complexity go to that well a few times against Veloce, and then they had to stop. See if the Vikings can keep it up. Bilbo, that's a double commit, and Skyline ends up taken out in the process, so he can't follow up the play. Now Maestro against Calix. That's a good job by Calix to keep that ball out of the center, but Skyline has thrown it out there, and Bilbo meets Pondex. Now Skyline from the side. Calix is there. Somebody's got to rotate out. It'll be Skyline as Bilbo floats one in to be cleared by Pondex.
This ball's going to go right back in the orange zone, though. Skyline went back for that back boost. So that hard clear just found itself right in his lap. And the Rightovers chasing 2 goals right now, getting very aggressive. Look at how close they're pushing up, just pushing downfield in tandem.
Yeah, I mean, their so-called offsides line is well above midfield right now. Bilbo for Calix, right to the center of the goal, and Mummy Snow sends it away.
I don't know how he got that much power with that angle. That was impressive. And their clearing ability right now is really impressive. Seeing where the offenders are coming from, and Bilbo staring down the barrel and sending that shot to the side.
That's a reflex save if ever you saw one. He was ready to jump, but just able to recover, clear this ball away. And now here's Skyline. He needs to get this ball in front, and he's not going to be able to despite the demo by Calix. Now Bilbo shot right at Mummy Snow, and it falls right at his feet for a big-time clear. Skyline met by Maestro, another dunk as the Vikings pour the pressure on at the halfway mark, leading by 2, trying to tie up this series.
Skyline has no boost, and he's the last man back in net. Pondex just needs to get this one by him, but Skyline got one of those little pads, able to get up that wall quick enough, and here comes the rookie, pushing downfield, has a teammate, sees the net, but unable to find that mark.
Now Mummy Snow hit into the side, good recovery. He'll be able to follow up this play unless Bilbo sends it off to the side. Well done on the defensive end, but they're not out of the woods just yet. Calix able to recover on the backboard. He'll take the corner boost, but now he'll leave Skyline to clear that ball away, and he didn't get it very far. Skyline again up the wall. He's missed it entirely, and Maestro taking boost and taking Calix out of the play. Good pass across for Pondex. Back to Mummy Snow, and everybody had to wait. Nobody took a shot, and it remains just a 2-0 lead until, no, it's cleared away. Looked like Mummy Snow was going to be able to convert that, but he went too far.
He got bumped by Calix, pushed him completely out of the way to get that shot on target. Nice heads-up play from him, but down by 2, minute 30 to go. You got to get to work.
Bilbo for Skyline. Everybody pushed up except for Mummy Snow, who makes that save at the other end. Now Mummy Snow bringing another one in front. Bilbo has the clear as far as Calix.
I would love to see a back pass there.
Skyline to the backboard, and Mummy Snow to the corner. Well read by Skyline, but he couldn't make contact. Now Calix. Bilbo thought about coming up, and maybe he should have because they've got to chase the game, but he does make a good play at midfield. This will be Bilbo, and Pondex intercepts.
Yeah, at this point, they're out of position, and here come the Vikings, but a monstrous clear put on that ball to give the Rightovers another opportunity to score.
Well, the Vikings can go into the shell here. Down, up 2 goals with only 35 seconds left. They don't need another. It'll be Bilbo looking to beat Mummy Snow, but instead it's Maestro who comes in and kills the play immediately. 23 seconds remain, and another ball dumped into the Rightovers zone. Calix will flick it away, but only as far as Pondex. This has been clinical in closing out a game for the Vikings, as the Rightovers, they've had some opportunities, but not many high-quality ones. This is one. They need it, and they've got it from Bilbo.
And Bilbo once again coming in the last few seconds to score a goal, but they're still down by 1. Kickoff is going to be crucial on this next play.
I mean, you'd like to have another few seconds just in case the ball goes the wrong way, but 5 seconds is all the Rightovers have to work with. And this ball rolling. Maestro will just throw it off the backboard, but Skyline keeps us in the air for a moment, and the Vikings will breathe a sigh of relief. They don't let this game get away from them, and they've tied up the series.
Yeah, like a heavyweight fighter. They got knocked down in an early round, get right back up, and come out and smack the Rightovers right in the face. Getting a goal just 8 seconds into this game, making a statement, coming out with the aggressive play and taking control of that midfield and not allowing the Rightovers to have any time with the ball on the top of their car.
And now for the Rightovers, they need to go back to the drawing board, because what they did in game 1 did not work at all in game 2. The Viking squad really adjusted, they adapted, they brought the fight right to the Rightovers and really didn't let them breathe for a good 4.5 minutes. It really wasn't until the tail end where you thought, okay, the Rightovers can finally get on the board. Way too late.
Yeah, I think they thought that they had more time with unchallenged balls. They thought that, okay, I'm going to be able to get this on my hood. Let's work it out a little bit and get a flick on it. But you don't have that much time. Not when Maestro's saying, I've been playing since season 1. I know what you're trying to do, and we're going to stop that right away. But in this next matchup, the Rightovers do have to change a little bit. They had the right idea, but unfortunately they missed on a lot of passes that seemed to be available.
Yeah, we talk about the experience of Skyline and how he goes back to Season 2 and the MLG Pro League days and all that. Yeah, Maestro goes back that far as well. He has seen a thing or two in the world of Rocket League. And now we see, again, 3 real veterans of the game here going at it in Maestro, Mummy Snow, and Skyline. This is a real treat in this season of the Rival Series. Mummy Snow will send this away from his own back line, but he misses the ball on the side, and it's an opportunity for the Rightovers. If Bilbo can wait for this, he'll give way to Calix, and the shot right at Pondex. Here's the follow-up from Skyline. He pulled the string on Mummy Snow, or Maestro, and he's able to make the save.
I love the speed that we're seeing come out from them to break rotations, the heads-up play, eyes wide open, knowing that they're able to, and you've got to contribute that to the good communication that they have going on right now.
Good pass to Bilbo, his shot high, but Pondex couldn't clear this off the line, but to his credit, as that ball came straight down on him, he didn't let it go into the net.
Yeah, most importantly, but he still has this. Can he get the double tap? No, and Maestro turned to the side by Skyline.
Skyline, no stranger to making a lot of saves. He made a very tough one there with Maestro bearing down on him. Here's Bilbo off the demo by Skyline, and the Rightovers take the lead.
Oh, baby, the rookie showing up again, but look at Skyline. Takes out Maestro, and then how about the shot by Bilbo? The defender comes in to cover that strong sight of the goal, and he puts that shot on the weak side.
Skyline, you could say, won this kickoff, but it goes right to Maestro. You can't follow this play up, but the pressure's there. It's Calix and Bilbo trying to sort themselves out. That leaves Skyline at the net. Pondex made him wait, but not able to get the demo. That's a good touch, though, from Calix. Can he find a teammate? Will he need a teammate? He does, as that ball sent away by Maestro. Maestro looking for a double tap, not going to find it, as Skyline is there with his defensive effort. Pondex retreating. This is dangerous, and now Skyline will take over. That'll go across, and that's a good reset there by the Vikings. Good D-to-D pass, and Pondex will have this away, and that is, it's not much. It didn't look like much of an attack from the Rightovers, but that could have got very dangerous very quickly.
Absolutely, and you called it good heads up clear there. He saw all 3 members of the Rightovers at midfield, so decides to pass that ball to corner to his teammate to be able to get a nice touch on that ball, push it downfield, and now they finally see themselves back on the defensive end.
Pondex beaten out by Bilbo. This will not angle downward, and instead bumps out for Mummy Snow. Now Skyline with a drive. That's going to be well wide. Follow up from Bilbo. He could not keep control of this, and Maestro will bomb it downfield. does not kiss the ceiling, and Skyline will send it away.
Ooh.
And he gets another touch as well. But will it be to their detriment? No. Big clear by Calix.
Good heads-up play by the third man to rotate back. Maestro, the veteran in this matchup for sure, doing whatever he can to give his team an opportunity in game number 3.
That ball sent out towards Maestro, and Bilbo there to spoil any further danger. Skyline as Bilbo's taken out of the play. Calix gets the shot on. It is just high. Pondex couldn't clear, but Skyline could not convert. The defense at the end, just enough from the Vikings. The deficit remains 1. Could be erased here, but Mummy Snow not able to get a centering pass off.
Yeah, just missed that ball entirely. Going for the boost, trying to disrupt the defense, but he sees Maestro. Maestro puts the shot on, and the rookie putting that one to the side again.
Bilbo thought about coming up on that play, and it's a good thing he went back. Needed to make that save. Now Calix, as Mummy Snow tries to go underneath. Good recovery by Calix, just getting a piece of the ball, but they're not out of trouble just yet. Big miss from Skyline. You never see that, as Calix will boom this away, and danger averted again by the Rightovers.
Oh, but watch out for that. Poor touch there. He saw the net, but I would like to see a high hit to get Maestro up in the air as he was the last defender back.
Mummy Snow taken out of the play, but Pondex recovers, and now here's Maestro. Maestro from the corner. Can Pondex get this in front? He'll try to play it to himself, and Calix booms it away. He'll take the midfield boost. What can he do with it? Needs to center for Skyline, and Mummy Snow is all over him.
One thing that the Vikings have stuck with through games 1, 2, and now 3 are those demos, but seem to not affect the Rightovers at all in this matchup. Maestro to Mummy Snow to the bottom of the corner, and we have ourselves another tie game.
Well, Mummy Snow's 3 goals in this series have all been huge for the Vikings. None bigger than that one right there that ties up game 3. Beautiful feed, as you mentioned, from Maestro. His 4th assist. Yet to find the back of the net himself, but his presence has been felt. But that double commit off the kickoff could have been deadly if not for the efforts of Mummy Snow on the back end.
Oh, and Bilbo hit Mummy Snow further than the ball went.
Well, here's Maestro, his shot on the near side, sent away by Skyline. Follow up from Pondex. That's going to be sent away by Calix. Skyline, though, left in no man's land, and Mummy Snow strikes again. Game promptly untied.
Oh my goodness, Mummy Snow reading Calix, puts that one up high and just hammers it home. The Vikings making a statement here in game number 3, saying we will not go down, not that easily.
5 goals from Flame in that last match with Veloce, and Mummy Snow has answered that with 4 of his own here. Another huge clutch goal from Mummy Snow. And he may have one more just to salt this one away. Down to 5 seconds left. Another game coming down to the closing seconds. And Bilbo cannot keep this up. The Vikings take game 3. They come from behind in the final minute.
This has been the greatest day of the rival series.
Are you kidding? This is awesome.
This is amazing. Every single game coming down to the wire, keeping you on the edge of your seat. And Mummy Snow stepping up huge for his team. 6 shots on net. Are you kidding me? The aggressive play from him just showing on the scoreboard alone.
And you know, there are some days where you have some low-scoring, close games that are frankly quite boring because there aren't that many shots. And that's, you know, nobody gets an opportunity. It's just, you know, ball go this way, ball go that way at the midfield line. Nobody really gets an opportunity. There have been plenty, a lot of point-blank saves made all throughout the day here in Europe. And really, you're seeing that the level of play here in the Rival Series has elevated so much. And this is only week 2. We got 3 more weeks of this.
Everyone seems to be following the groundwork laid down by Cloud9 of introducing the world to those midfield passing plays, everyone realizing how deadly they can be, how hard it is for a defender to read that. And we saw it from Bilbo. He was the last man back when the game was tied. He had a 50-50 shot. If he rolls right, he saves that ball, and we may be seeing overtime. But instead, it's just too hard to read. The shot was put on net, and the Vikings on match point now. The Rightovers have looked great, but they've got to change up a little bit.
You know, we've seen in the past that players have been reluctant to change up their rosters and change teammates. Pondex, a great example of that. he hasn't really had a team around him, very much like Niels Cook, where you feel like this is a team that's going to contend. A career 8-23 record in the RLCS and Rival Series combined coming into this week. And now with this Vikings team, as they do fall behind here, Calix getting the opening goal, it does feel like Pondex has kind of a new beginning in the Rival Series, but he's beaten here.
Yeah, just a misread there from Maestro, and Calix is barreling down, realizing it's a slow shot on net, so definitely savable, but wins that challenge and puts the Rightovers up, something they absolutely needed to lift their spirits and up their momentum.
Whose new beginning will reign supreme here as this ball sent all the way across the face of the goal. Bilbo with a big clear. Calix to continue the play onward to the corner. He'll get that ball in front, but Pondex is there with a big clear. Mummy Snow all the way downfield. Calix to Skyline. Looked like a good passing play coming out of the zone, but Skyline couldn't keep it going. Now Bilbo will try, but he's met by Mummy Snow. That play just a little slow to develop. Really, all game it has been for the Rightovers, despite that early goal.
Mummy Snow looks like a pit bull chasing a rusty truck right now, just chasing everything, doing whatever he can to put a touch on the ball. It could throw off the Vikings completely, but so far it seems to be working.
There's your Subiism. It is officially a Rival Series week. That ball's off the crossbar, and Skyline will take the full boost out of the orange zone. What can he do with it? Looking to send this down in front. He has. Pondex needs to come off the backboard as Bilbo was challenging. Now Calix with a good pass across. Back to Calix, and he missed it entirely.
Yeah, but Maestro had to jump on that one, had to respect the shot that could have came on the board. Speaking of Maestro, has an open net, passes the ball to Mummy Snow, and out of the corner, capitalized upon by Pondex.
Pondex with his third of the series, this time just getting credit for putting one home on the doorstep. It looked for a moment like Calix was going to get there, and boy, if the Rightovers avoided giving up a goal there, that may have just about guaranteed Game 5 the way we've seen things go. But yes, we're right back where we started, all tied up, now with 3 minutes left.
Yeah, and Calix, the only one with a shot in this game for his team so far. Skyline and Bilbo need to get to work in the offensive end if they want to keep this game close.
Pondex against Bilbo. This will get centered. Who's going to have the clear? It's Bilbo. Gives up the corner boost, and Maestro will take it. Bilbo shot, saved by Pondex. Skyline couldn't get it on target. Calix will try as well. He is met by Maestro. Now Bilbo will try again. Skyline coming in, and Pondex bombs it away. Here's Maestro for Mummy Snow. Did not go for the shot. I think he was looking for Bilbo instead. Found neither, and we remain tied at halftime.
That's
but
not
not
good.
for long. Calix can't get around in front.
That was so close to being gold for the Rightovers, but Vikings standing strong once again in the defensive zone.
Pondex now for Maestro, sent away by Skyline. 2 minutes remain in a tie game. Can Skyline clear this past Mummy? He can. He gets around his former teammate, and he hits the post, and this time, Old Ironsides doesn't make the save. It creeps its way in.
Oh my goodness, Skyline coming up, taking the ball all by himself, and somehow putting a little bit of English, putting the shooter's touch on that ball and rolling it in.
The post usually ends every day undefeated. Not this time. Skyline gives the Rightovers the lead again, but for how long? Calix off the crossbar, off the demo, and Bilbo will secure the goal.
And the Rightovers have smelled blood in the water. A demo on net. Bilbo capitalizes, and they're up by 2.
That's how all three get involved in the play, and now the Rightovers have their biggest lead of this series. And really, we could say that for a lot of teams. We have not had many blowouts here in week 2. Calix trying to slow play that and play Mummy Snow. It did not work out.
And you know that it's a good week if we're considering a 2-goal deficit a blowout.
Right. Skyline for Mummy Snow. Calix Another one dropped in front that Maestro has to sweep away. Bilbo dunks this ball back in. And right now the Vikings can't get out of their own defensive zone. Even when the ball goes out towards midfield, finally they do, but it's gonna come right back in, courtesy of Skyline. Calix trying to dunk on Maestro. Bilbo taken out of the play. That will let the Vikings get downfield. They need to capitalize here in the final minute. We've seen the Rightovers come back late in games. Now the Vikings will try. Pondex misses wide, and another ball cleared downfield.
The Vikings still sticking to that game plan of demos, but it appears the Rightovers are well aware, and they're okay. But a fast break opportunity. Maestro coming down, and Pondex causing disruption, but Calix able to swoop in time. And their team gets a little bit of breathing room.
If that was anybody except the defensive wizard of Skyline at the back, you would expect the Vikings to score, but he's seen it all. Skyline made the save there. He'll clear this right at Mummy Snow, and he makes yet another save. Skyline standing tall, so too is Calix. The Vikings can't buy a goal here in the closing seconds. 8 seconds remain. Skyline just lets this go. Calix plays it where they're not, and we will have game 5.
This is the greatest day ever. Oh my goodness, the matches just continue to get better and better and better, and what better way to end the day for Europe than going to game 5.
Yeah, how many overtimes in that previous series that we saw? I believe it was 3 overtimes out of the 4 games.
Yes, sir.
And now we're coming down to the wire with, we had an overtime, we have a pair of 1-goal games, we have this, which, yeah, this is a blowout by the standards of today. And this is just phenomenal. Coming down to the wire in week 2, and 2 teams that are going to be right there at the top of the standings at the end. This match, somebody's going to look back on and go, man, we missed an opportunity.
Yeah, but we told all of you that you better be prepared because this season is going to be so close-knit. Every single match matters. Every single game inside the match, every single goal matters, because at the end of the day, it could come down to all of those to find yourself in that top 4 or top 2 to go to the promotion tournament. All these teams have the ability to do so, but right now, game 5, it's time to lay it all out on the line. Don't leave anything that you want to take back home with you.
Yeah, you remember our predictions from the desks. Chad, I want to know what your predictions are. Game 5, Rightovers, Vikings, somebody drops, and it's a huge loss for whoever takes it as we get into game number 5. Manfield, the setting, as we reach the thrilling conclusion of the Rightovers and the Vikings and the end of week 2. Skyline met by Maestro, and we're underway. Calix beaten by Pondex, and who's going to win this race? It's Mummy Snow as Skyline retreats, and that is how game 5 gets underway.
Mummy Snow got the boost steal, looking for a defender in net, but look at the passing play coming down. Calix finds Skyline streaking down the side.
Anybody who picked the Vikings, you're free to change your mind anytime. Skyline setting up here off that great feed from Calix. Nobody home at the back, and that is huge for the Rightovers as they draw first blood in game 5. And now Calix coming up off the kickoff. Pondex doesn't have the clear. Mummy Snow rotating back just in case. But no shot coming in, and very lucky were the Vikings that that's the case. Maestro now looking for his first goal of the series. He's denied and not able to get another assist.
Yeah, the Vikings need to change it up. As stated before, the Rightovers are looking out for those the offenders coming through the defensive zone and just jumping over them, putting the Vikings out of position. And look at this, another put downfield by Skyline.
Normally in a series like this, sometimes you can point out a weak link. There is no weak link on either side. Bang! There's Maestro's first.
And Mummy Snow takes Skyline's hand and takes him out of the zone completely. No defender back means an open net for Maestro, and he ties this ball game up.
1-1. 1 minute gone by. Just what we expected. Just go away. Well, come back for overtime. It's fine. We know we're going to get it.
No, I'm going to stay the whole time because this series is so much fun. You blink, you might miss amazing.
Pondex for Maestro. This will get around in front. Off the ceiling, and Skyline keeps his composure. Calyx trying to split the defense, and it's sent away by Pondex. 3:30 as Bilbo sends one up for Calyx. Bilbo waiting, and he can't connect. Maestro there to meet him just in case. I think he would have had the save, but it doesn't matter. Now Bilbo. Nobody else there as he can't get this ball past Pondex. But the Rightovers will try again. Bilbo maybe a little bit lost on the sidewall. Now he'll rotate out. That means nobody's there for this pass except Pondex, who's around Bilbo, but not around Calyx.
Good heads-up play to clear that ball.
Pondex, first one up the ladder by a long shot here. Not able to follow this play up though as Bilbo has it. And now Skyline, heavy pass over to Calyx. What can Calyx do with this as he's running a little low on resource? Skyline needs this ball forward, and he's got it. But he needs support. He may get a little help, if not for Mummy Snow there. Good heads-up reaction to midfield. Look at this passing, and Calyx just swats it down with authority. Can they convert on the counterattack? No, Mummy Snow recovers.
Yeah, I love that touch there from him, and demo coming out from Pondex. The pass was going over to Calyx. The Vikings looking to score downfield, but Pondex whipping on that.
Calyx right at Mummy Snow. Now Pondex, he got this in front for Maestro. He's got it under the bar.
And Maestro showing up when his team needs him most. Pondex puts that shot above Skyline, who had already pre-jumped. Bilbo searching for boost, just can't find it, and Maestro rolls that right underneath the crossbar to give themselves the lead.
Hey, North America, tough act to follow for sure. 2-minute mark in game 5. And Maestro coming out of just a major cluster with possession, but not for long as Mummy Snow has to bail him out. He'll find Pondex, and Calyx gonna take his time and maybe give way to Bilbo. Now Maestro's shot. Not on target. Skyline, he doesn't have the boost to follow this play, and Calyx turned off, and that means the ball's going all the way down to the blue half again.
I'm glad to see the Rightovers aren't panicking just yet. Plenty of time to work with, and how about the shot all the way downfield? The defender's expecting a pass, and somehow that ball finds its way to the net.
Calyx just going up, faking, and then the ball just falls in. And it works out for the Rightovers. 2-2 with 1:29 left.
Trading blow for blow, Stacks going back and forth.
Oh, Skyline got the flip reset there, and Calyx takes out Pondex. But here's Maestro on the other side. Only the rookie Bilbo left against the wily veteran, and it's the rookie who stands tall. Pondex with a big clear from the corner. That's going to find Calyx, who's going to take possession at midfield. Bilbo right at Mummy Snow, and Calyx there to save the day.
Just squeaks in, but expect to see both of these teams start to play very spread out, looking to cover that net up, not wanting an errant clear to go over their head and be the game-winning goal.
That pass from Mummy Snow just off the mark, and now Mummy Snow's got to come back on defense as Pondex sends that off to the side. Maestro will start another counterattack with 38 seconds. Skyline to intercept, and Calyx beaten out by Mummy Snow. Now Mummy looking to center. That goes off of Bilbo in front. Maestro not able to get there in time. 30 seconds separate us from overtime in game 5. Bilbo looking for one more touch, trying to get around Mummy Snow. The Rightovers looking to start off their rival series with a W, but it won't happen just yet. They may need extra time to get there. The Vikings looking for their first win as Calyx can't get a pass off. It's boomed all the way downfield as the final seconds of regulation tick away. Bilbo's done it once at 0, but not this time. Overtime in game 5.
And now it comes down to one final goal. Who is going to taste victory after this amazing series? Game number 5, overtime. You can't ask for more.
Maestro gives way to Pondex, but Maestro has to go back for that corner boost. That gives Calyx enough time to challenge. Bilbo up the ladder around Mummy Snow, but he's got to get back in a hurry. Skyline now, his shot wide and sent away by Maestro. Counterattack, Pondex is going to be blocked by Bilbo. That shot was off the mark.
They had time to reset, and this is going to favor the Rightovers unless Mummy Snow can get that touch, but Calix sends it into the orange zone. Rightovers looking to do anything they can to break out in the offensive end.
Bilbo, not the touch he was looking for. It's the touch Mummy Snow was looking for, but Skyline will bomb it away. Mummy Snow hanging around on the blue end, but not able to catch a pass on the other side. Maestro looking for Mummy Snow. Here's Skyline. Not a lot of power on that shot, and Pondek sends it away.
Yeah, he wishes he had a fishing line there. Could reel back that one and try again. But the ball is still in the Vikings area, but unable to open up anything. This ball just remains in midfield in a wide open net. Calix saw Bilbo, but this clear going all the way downfield finds the net, and the Vikings find victory.
Wow, that is not how you expected this game to end. Maestro, just sometimes you throw it at the net and good things happen. It did for the Vikings here as they get their first win of the Rival Series season. They go Game 5 twice. They lose to Veloce. They beat the Rightovers, and this is going to be huge for them going forward.
Yeah, you could say nothing but GG's to both teams. Just put on an absolute performance, just put on a showcase, and what a fun way to end the day for Europe.
Maestro, by the way, we talked about Fnatic not having a hat trick all of last season. Maestro's had a pair of clutch hat tricks for the Vikings here today as we welcome back Albert Haloran Haley III. Wow, what a day.
That was an incredible week 2 for EU. What better way to round things out to go into game number 5? Both teams displaying such grit, such persistence. One of the coolest moments of that season or that series was after game 1. Bilbo ties it up 0 seconds. Then they steal the game. They get the game 1. And I was wondering how Vikings would respond to that. After losing to Veloce eSports, do they feel deflated? Do they lose any of their momentum? No. They actually came back looking upset. They came back with a renewed resolve, and they had an incredible performance. It carried them all the way to the end here in overtime.
Yeah, one thing the Vikings have always had throughout history is anger problems. So, it shouldn't throw any of us off there.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, going back to Maestro as well, no goals in that whole series until those 3 that he scored in Game 5. Just phenomenal stuff there. Again, Maestro has always been a player that in the clutch, you can depend on him. His teammates needed him. He came through. Hey, the Viking experience here in the Rival Series is an emotional roller coaster, to say the least.
The landscape of EU continues to form. Let's take a look at the standings. We have some close competition here, regardless of who's on top. Veloce eSports, still perfect, 4-0. I think they have one more match off on the B stream later on.
Yes.
Complexity Gaming. It was tough going up against Veloce eSports, but I do still think that they can hang on in the top 2 spots. But there's so much momentum here for the rest of the bracket. It's still anyone's game.
2 through 6 is absolutely stacked. And you've got to throw the Rightovers and Xenomoon because they did have some tough matchups in week 1. This is going to be so close. You could take a 8-sided coin, flip it, and choose who's in first.
Or you could roll an 8-sided die. I think that's a little more practical, Subi.
I disagree entirely.
Okay, well,
I personally feel like don't write off the Rightovers.
No,
just yet,
absolutely not.
I think they're going to have a strong performance. But later on today, North America, the Wild West, as I like to call it, we're going to have some very interesting, spicy matchups, to say the very least. Birds and the Bees, that is always a team to watch out for. We'll get to see them twice today.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that 4th matchup between the Peeps and Birds and the Bees. Peeps did not open up the season how they wanted to, but they came out on that B stream and got a sweep underneath their belts. They're starting to feel good, and if you're Birds and Bees, you got to be scared with that matchup.
Yeah, they've got a loaded schedule this week, and please don't let Corelli anywhere near that Peeps match. Good grief. I don't think the Peeps I think have won 1 match that Corelli has casted. It's amazing. But, honestly, Birds and the Bees, if they win both of their matches today, we talk about Veloce here in Europe. They go 3-0 to start the season. That is a scary team to look out for. I don't know anybody else that would actually be able to challenge them.
It would be very tough.
RBG,
the
maybe?
games today, maybe. The matches we've seen today were absolutely insane. Imagine being able to see them in person. We have tickets on sale at the Prudential Center, tickets.rlesports.gg. We'll see you there potentially for the RLCS finals, but that's going to do it for Rival Series EU today, North America later on. For now, have a good day.